Yeah, go ahead and do it.
Okay. I have not initiated it yet. Hold on.
And I was refreshing as fast as I could. Oh,
I hit
yep, it says live.
I hit stream and there's nothing there because I didn't go to YouTube and say stream. Oh wait, no, it did. Good.
Oh,
Wow,
I see
interesting.
live,
That's interesting. No, I
but I
didn't
don't.
have to this
Yeah,
week.
they
Nice.
see us.
That's nice. I didn't know if that worked.
Okay,
To just hit stream from vMix apparently enables the stream on YouTube. That's nice.
very nice. Okay, let's see. All right, I need to go over here. I need to do this thing. Please communicate
Going
amongst
out on a
yourselves.
limb and guessing Josh's link isn't going to work.
Let me see. Back to Discord. Josh is typing.
He only sees the blue.
He only sees the blue. Perfect. Oh, wait, no, that's just vMix.
It's this dance. It's if you lose the link, it takes
Try it
like 3
again.
tries to get it to get back again. Let's see. Yay.
That
Change.
should. Let me update this.
Copy link.
If I waited any faster, I would have gone before you left.
Wake me up before you go.
Right. Why didn't you go before we left? Because then I would have left without you.
Yeah.
Hey.
Hey, what?
It's on. Yeah, I clicked the big red delete button. That usually works.
Many great speculations in the Discord chat about Josh's new appearance.
Mm-hmm. That's what this is really all about.
Mm-hmm.
It's not about a vMix connection. Okay.
Nope. Press the self-destruct button. Oh, yes, and you should.
Okay. Gonna generate another link. Change.
Hey, Razer wants to make sure that you've got enough space to record everything in 8K, 444 uncompressed. I mean, you good with that?
I don't know.
Razer, the peripherals company.
No, although, hey, you still have an EVGA digitizer of some sort, right? I wonder what that does.
4K.
Hmm.
Or no, that one might only be 1080p. We'll have to
Really?
look at it. It might be 4K. Oh, it's got 4K HDR, but it's only pass through. I don't think it streams higher than 1080 60 because it's USB. There's Josh.
Aha!
Wow, why is my quality? Okay, there we go.
I
That
can
new auto quality on YouTube had me down at 240p.
That's about the way we look our best.
Ah,
There he
you know what? I
is.
should put it back.
Man,
Maybe.
the myth, the legend.
Audio was garbled. Now there is none.
Josh, can you hear us? I haven't heard you yet. Nope, can't hear you.
No.
We got video at least.
Yep, we're halfway
Step in the
there.
right direction, and
it's a
we're
step up,
live. We're live, just to warn you. Okay, I'm stepping up our game. We've been recording at 1080 or 1080p, 16 megabit per second. H.264 baseline profile. I'm moving it up to the H.264 high.
Ooh.
And 512 kilobit per second audio, which is the highest.
Can she
I can
take
go.
it, Captain?
I can't go any higher. And yes, apparently I can record this stream at 4K. But should I?
Do you dare?
It's just not necessary.
It's could be disturbing, in fact.
Does vMix use any of the graphics cards
Yeah.
compression?
No,
What's happening right now?
I think that's
Well,
Josh.
that's weird. Why are you doing that? Stop it.
The audio we're getting is us talking, but it's sort of echoing through you somehow.
And then looping back
With a good
several seconds
half a
later.
second delay.
Yeah. In a disconcertingly bad way. Like, in a From Beyond kind of way.
It's like my daily YouTube or Zoom meeting with my staff.
Yeah.
Perfect. I feel
But
right at
Josh
home.
left. Hey, if you're watching,
Hey,
on
how's
YouTube,
everybody?
Welcome, YouTube audience. We're still working through some issues Josh is having connecting tonight. Better to do
He
it
probably
now than
soaked
have him
his-
freeze in the middle of the show, I guess.
Yeah. He probably soaked his bandwidth when he sent that
Better?
PDF document.
Yes,
Oh,
better.
Oh, there he is.
There we
audio.
go.
Hey,
Well, you see, I upgraded my sound card,
no.
and of course,
Oh,
Creative changed all the things around.
Gotcha. You
So I
sound
had
great,
to-
though.
Oh, well,
yeah.
thanks.
These do sound good. Yeah.
That's all monopriced USB mic.
Oh, yeah.
You guys sounded
Yes.
great with these, with the new sound card and the bi-amped analog output for my headphones.
Nice.
Well, you sound
Very nice, crisp.
rich and very full in my
You know,
ears.
Velvety.
presents. Yeah, it's
This is
it's
a presence button.
yeah.
But what do you really
I think-
gain by that?
Velvety is the right word. Yeah.
Velvety, yes.
You got the
Sort
show
of a
notes and
rich-
everything open, Josh? Everybody ready to go?
I'm rocking it. Yep, let's go.
Hey, Josh,
All right,
scheduling note. Unless you want to change it, right now you're slated to talk about AMD financials immediately following our first ad break.
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
They kicked ass.
True.
Yeah, but make it longer than that.
Okay. Okay.
Like, add a number.
There's a
That's
link in
what
the
she
show
said.
notes if you want to freshen it up.
Okay.
That's what she said. Oh my
Hitting
God.
record. Hitting record. So far, the system hasn't crashed.
Hey, that's good.
It's never crashed during the recording. I just haven't always remembered to record.
All right, what this the other thing. Okay, I need this over here. This. Okay. Mute.
Wow. Didn't realize how kind of cruddy the audio quality was on going through my yeah. I can hear every sigh.
That's
Yeah,
fortunate.
your audio is rich and delicious now.
Hmm.
I know. It's disconcerting.
You ready to start?
Yeah,
Let's do it.
That's it.
Okay. 3, 2. Hey guys, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 636? No. Hey guys, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 626, being recorded on Wednesday, April 28th, 2021. I'm Sebastian Peak.
3 for 3. I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Brett Van Sproonberg.
And
you
I'm
hear-
Kent Burgess.
Sorry, I walked on you, Ken. You want to do this over again or keep going?
No.
Makeshift.
Man,
hearing-
Kent's tough.
Let's stop for a second. I'm hearing an echo back, and I don't know if it's me.
You're right about that.
I moved,
You're right. Let me see if
moved
it's-
my earpiece thinking it was the earpiece doing it, but it's not. There's some kind of loop back phenomenon happening.
You're right. I could hear it. It's
I was hoping it was
Man, I'm
just
still
me and it
hearing
wasn't
on.
on the stream.
Let me mute mine and see.
Okay.
1, 2,
Everybody-
3, 4, 5.
No, it's gone.
Oh, it's him.
It's
It's
gone.
him. Damn it, Josh.
Now what?
It was you.
Do I need to
It's
reboot
you.
my machine?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Oh wait, it's gone.
Oh, wait, no.
No,
No, it's not.
No, it's back.
It's back.
How is it getting what you hear back?
I don't know.
We don't know.
I've got.
Monitor line?
Okay, hang on. Say something.
Hey, Josh.
I don't want to.
Wait, I'm not hearing it now. No, I am.
I'm hearing
I
it.
am.
I'm hearing you.
Do you think
there
it could be
is.
my open
Yeah.
earphones or just too
Oh,
loud?
you have open
Look at
backs?
this.
Yeah, the last time I used my Audio Technicas and I had my ear right by the mic, it was doing an echo. I had to stop using those in
Oh,
the show.
yeah, you're right. I remember that.
That's why I keep the earpiece away when I wear those.
Only
Okay,
talk with your hands
now
pressed to
how
your
is it
head.
now? I just turned it down quite a bit.
Wow, it's gone.
Yeah, that seems
The
good.
echo's gone.
It's gone. It's good.
Yeah, that's beautiful.
We're good. See, you
Yep.
wanted to hear every nuance, but that was a dreadful mistake.
That was too
Ah, it's for the hear-
nuanced.
Yeah.
It's for the hearing impaired, right?
Or soon to be.
Soon to be hearing impaired.
Well, at those levels, yeah. I mean, it's not safe.
Arr, arr.
All right, hold on a second. Okay. So we reset here.
Duct tape.
Hey, if there's anybody left, thanks
Mhm,
for hanging in there.
Yeah. Plugged in.
We're gonna get through this intro
Never.
any
Someday.
moment.
Yeah,
Any moment
sure.
now. Josh's audio is so crisp.
That's
Okay.
bull.
It's true though.
Okay, in 3, 2. Hey guys, welcome to the PC Perspective Podcast. This is episode 626, being recorded on Wednesday, April 28, 2021. I'm Sebastian Beek.
I'm Jeremy Hellstrom.
I'm Josh Walrath.
I'm Brett Van Stronberg.
And I'm Kent Burgess.
That's right. Kent is back to inject some much needed something into the show after last
Spicy
week.
overtones. Spicy
Yeah.
overtones.
What do you
I think.
got?
Yeah.
We had kind of a laid back show last week. There are light news weeks in every year, and this is probably one of them as well. But hey, we're going to get through it. And we're going to start with the housekeeping. You can subscribe. Never miss an episode of the PC Per podcast. You don't want to do it. There's a hidden gem in every episode somewhere. And you can subscribe at pcper.com/subscribe to find out when we're going to go live roughly 20 minutes after we say we're going to. And you can support the site at Patreon. Become a patron of PC Per. PC Per patron of the PC Per Arts. Patreon.com/PCPer. And
Easy for you
know,
to say.
we have
it,
more. We have more on
It
that
keeps
vein.
it keeps
Apparently
the
not.
mice running around inside the electrical wheels that keeps the server running and all that interesting stuff that keeps this thing flowing along. But we do have three
Ooh.
new members this week, and first member is Chasing Shadoa, a new patron member. So thank you very much, Mr. Chasing, or should I say Mr. Shadoa? You know,
How do
maybe
we
it's
know
not a
that it's Mr.?
Exactly. Maybe it's a they.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it's a she. I don't know. But thank you, Chasing Shadoa, and then a John Kim, which sounds like a Mister. I mean, John.
I would say
And
so,
then
yeah.
I think we may have brought this one up last week, but I
You
just wanted to
mentioned
make sure to put
Ducky.
a double slather on this one to say, hey, thanks, KR Ducky. Really appreciate the support. So, and if you want your name embarrassed out loud here, just go in and change it if you're an existing patron member, or go in and make a change to your patron membership and change your name. And I usually do some embarrassing stop the show right now moment and read whatever it is you type.
It's not as embarrassing as it is exciting. You know, it's
A moment.
your name in lights.
Mm-hmm.
It's different kind of famous, internet famous for a moment.
It
a
is.
fleeting moment.
It's a brief moment. It's a brief moment of internet famous. Like I
Right.
did that
But those who shine brightest shine,
quickest.
yes. Shortest. Hey, this is the point of
Candles,
the show.
something.
It's a fast burn.
I need to stop saying "hey" as a transition. This is the point in the show where we go to Laramie, Wyoming, and hope
Oh.
that Josh has had something interesting to eat today and documented it with photos, hopefully.
Yeah. Yeah, let's see. Let me get up the gallery so I can read off what it is. This one was interesting. You know, I keep saying, dang it, I'm just going to have a regular cheeseburger. I'm going to just see what one is like because all their burgers are just kind of, you know, crazy and out of this world. And then I heard what it was. It was the black and blue burger. 2 Cajun seasoned patties, blackened, if you can believe it, topped with Cajun mayo. That in turn is topped with smoked blue cheese. Who smokes their blue cheese? These guys obviously do. And finally, at the very top is a layer of bacon. And 2 sesame seed buns.
Whoa.
Yeah, and the fries were a little soggy, but still very tasty.
Gotta let Sebastian know about the veg portion.
What veggie portion?
So I guess the
soggy
fries.
fries.
Yeah, the soggy fries.
Fries, probably.
The bun, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, in the middle of my thing, I just started
Well-
hearing this backward. Did you guys hear that too?
I did not.
Heard some.
Did not.
Must be
No,
the
that's just-
very sensitive. You know, the 32 ohm Grado.
No, that
Yeah.
feedback was just for you.
Sweet. Yeah, 32 ohms is not that much for, you know, higher end headphones. I mean, they go all the way up to 600 ohms, and
Yeah.
you know, Sebastian well knows these things, but still, yeah.
There's a lot of.
The pair here is 600 ohms.
Oh, the Bear Dynamic.
Yes, the silver one's right there.
I see them.
And it takes a lot of power to run those.
I was gonna say you must have like really. Do you use a discrete sound card or motherboard audio?
I use a discrete sound card.
Okay. Understood.
Someone just asked in the chat a little while ago that didn't Jim leave any instructions for this sort of thing? And the answer's not really.
We
No,
fought with vMix almost every week. Usually, I was the one who
Yeah.
couldn't connect. I would call to a blue screen all the time.
That did
The
happen.
assumption is
Yeah.
that there were actually instructions to pass on.
No.
Like,
No.
It's just not
Did
a thing.
Jim leave any instructions for anything, really?
Just his thing of head on.
Apply directly to the forehead.
Okay. Moving into our top stories tonight. Intel Optane, everybody's talking about it, and it's not dead yet. Believe it or not. I can't. Is this a consumer or a enterprise-focused launch?
I think they've realized that they're only going to sell Optane to enterprises.
Oh.
I'm sure that this came as a crushing blow to Al and his dreams of, you know, filling every home with Optane. But yeah, so these are, and it's not just Optane ported to, oh, here it's a consumer model, but we made it look a little fancier, so it's enterprise. No, they've come up with a different type of form factor called EDSFF, and this is an E1S. There's actually a couple of different ones, but the E1S remains the same sort of size as your usual M.2 or U.2, depending on the capacity that you pick up. But you can hot swap it happily. This is a good thing in a server because you don't really want to explain that you had to take the server down to replace that fancy drives that they convinced the budget committee to approve. So in this case, you got much better cooling, and you know, it just, the ability to hot swap really sort of helps. And with a proper chassis, you can just be sitting in there like the Vulcan City because, well, I mean, it's Intel, so you got to expect some sort of a name involving a canyon or a lake or a city or a point. So you got two different types. The Optane P5801X. This is the small, speedy one, the Rocket Richard of them. So you only get 400 gig or 800 gig, but this is a full-out 3D X point, and they're suggesting it'll be the fastest SSD on the planet. It samples towards Q3 of this year, so we won't know for sure until then. The second type are the D7 P5520s, and these are the big suckers. They've moved up to the U.2 and sit between 1.9 to 7.7 terabytes. Huge amounts of expensive storage, but it is going to beat out your PCIe 4.0 NVMe drive, and you'll be able to hot swap it, although hope you won't be able to having to do that very often. So yeah, we've got some names, we've got a form factor, and that's it until later this year.
Of course,
How fast are they?
pricing.
If you have to ask,
I know. It's all different in that world anyway. You're quoting quantities and.
no, Optane is its own special kind of different.
Oh boy. Okay. So it's not like tray prices on CPUs, is what you're telling me.
No.
Okay. You negotiate and integrate.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Well, because in theory, they're also, if one of them goes belly up, you're on a contract to have one shipped immediately out. I don't want to know what the insurance on that FedEx pack is going to be like.
That much money.
Will Alan Malventano actually show up with each of these to install them?
On the premium price plan, yes. However,
nice.
it's
Oh, he
limited
comes in
to
the
a
box.
certain amount of consuming.
It's
Will
more
he
like an
wear a bunny
Malventano. It's like a crate. It's like a crate. You open him up, and he like comes out like a.
It's
Like
not
a
even a
little-
very
like
big
a-
crate. You get it, and
No,
you're
it's
like,
like
oh,
a
is this like a tower
submariner.
computer? No, it's Alan. He's just sitting
Yeah,
down.
he is
Yeah.
sort of a U.2.
He stands up. Hey guys, what's going on?
Like, exactly. It's the
you
average
gonna
size of a
install
nuke of a nuke tech submariner, if you can know what I'm saying. Yeah.
The only
Average
problem
size
is that
of
he will not leave until he involuntarily upgrades your car in some way.
Which is fine with me.
or tells you in great detail what you're doing wrong.
Yes.
He's very friendly about it, though.
Sure.
He's always willing to help with extremely
I hope he's
technical
listening.
explanations for things. Hey, videocards.com in a post tagged as a rumor. And it's video cards. I guess they report legitimate news too, but a lot of their stuff is like tips and
They do.
rumors. GeForce RTX 3080 Ti, May 18th, question mark? NVIDIA is now expected to unveil its RTX 3080 Ti graphics card on May 18th, according to a forum post.
That NVIDIA made.
Was it what NVIDIA made?
Right. I mean, I
It's
could
this
straight up
post.
ask
Can you read this? It's from
Of course I
X
can't.
Preview.
I mean, it's not like an MSI
RTX
shipping container.
3060. Oh, there's the TI.
This is more difficult
looks
to read
small.
than an MSI palette. You know what I'm saying?
All right, let's see what the supposed specs would be. These are all estimates. We've talked about this before. They're not this GA102
Oh, video
Slash
cards, you're so great. To be
225.
leaked.
Yeah, to be leaked. There's a picture forthcoming. You think that would be the
All
same
right.
cooler design? Is this just a 3090 again?
I mean,
Slightly
the joke's
cut
on
down.
everybody
It's
here
all the
because this is just going to be something that people can't buy anyway.
I know.
But I could straight up ask Sebastian on whether or not he's gotten his review sample yet that he wouldn't be allowed to say anyway. I just want to
Yeah,
look at his face
if-
when I ask him.
If
12 gigs?
if we
Really?
had, I wouldn't be able to say anything. But
I know.
I'm reading rumors along with everybody else. So
And plus, the 18th is that's too far away for, NVIDIA with sending stuff. So it's he'll get it 4 days in advance.
Oh yeah, and
that might be like the old
reviews-
era. I will say this: since I took over, one of the first meetings I had with NVIDIA, this end of 2018, was, hey, we've heard from you guys. You want more time. We're not just going to ship you stuff a couple days before launch. So they've been giving people about 2 weeks.
Oh,
Before
that's
launch.
nice.
So you have plenty of
So
time.
when
you
to
get
does the
another
driver
week.
usually come out?
You might
Don't they
have
usually
something
drop a
next
driver
week.
on you the day before?
Drivers are a different story. Yeah, usually you have to wait an extra day or two
Yeah.
on drivers, but that's kind of par for the course for both of them.
I mean,
I'd rather
they've
wait
been-
on a driver and have a driver than get a driver and then be told a day before the review goes up, hey, we have a new driver, and it improves
That's
performance
fair.
by 5%. This is all inside baseball talk. We don't need to worry about this.
They've been lately. They've been saying, "Oh, and here's your window of an unboxing," which I think is kind of ridiculous. But
Okay, what is this?
people kind of want to see it. Oh,
Supposedly
what is it?
shipping
This
to U.S.
Yeah, scroll down that page,
Spotted.
Sebastian. This is the only thing I've seen that gives any substantiation to these rumors.
Yeah, this is what I was talking
Is-
about just a minute ago.
Yeah, I just didn't see these photos on that on the video cards website. So these are shipping containers from MSI that are labeled with the 3080 Ti. That's really the first time I've given really any credence to these rumors, simply because it doesn't seem logical to me for NVIDIA to be releasing another card at that price range at this time when not just NVIDIA, but no one can fulfill their silicon orders right now.
Yeah, like we need another SKU. That's what you're saying. What's the point?
Well, I mean, they had the plan and they had the roadmap out, and they're sticking to the roadmap. It just is our dumb luck that the demand is absolutely sky high. And when I say sky high, I mean I really means demand is unprecedented. These people are making so much money. It's not even funny. Everybody up and down the line. Yes, there are component shortages. It is challenging to get products out, but they're selling everything that they make, and it's making everybody mad because
Except for the lumber guys.
the miners
The
and the
lumber guys are just
scalpers,
as
they're
happy.
doing well. Yeah, but no, it's Newegg is I'm kind of gonna bitch about them a little bit. I mean, we kind of expected them to at least stay to MSRP. There would be no sales, but at least stay to MSRP. And now it's like $150 extra over MSRP. Plus, they're gonna give you some kind of crappy combo on their shuffle.
Yeah.
But they're still selling stuff because people want their cards, especially like the 3060 Ti. 3080s are still popular, even though you're not going to get one for under $1,200. And that was the MSRP of the 3090, right? Right around there, $1,200 to $1,300.
Yeah, I think so.
15.
So it's screwy, and I've talked to people from other companies that are partners, and they're like, we ship out as fast as we get them in, and demand is really, it truly is unprecedented for this generation card, both from AMD and NVIDIA. And so, yeah, I mean, it stinks that NVIDIA's throwing another SKU, but at the same time, it's kind of good that they're throwing another SKU because, they've got chips built up that, are failed 3090s. And so they've got a 3080 Ti, and they can make a little bit more money on that, and they throw it out there. So consumers have a different choice what to spend their money on if they can. But they'll just keep ramping up slowly, and I would imagine maybe by fall things will have normalized. But it's really going to be a year of no stock, and when we kind of see what Nvidia's quarterly earnings are, then we'll get a better idea. Because AMD, and we'll talk about that later, they sold a lot of graphics cards, well, a lot of graphics chips to their partners. And actually,
Right.
yeah, they did sell a lot of cards.
Yeah, normally they taper off. Well, we'll get into that later. I'll save it.
Yeah.
No financial talk yet.
Yes.
I am pessimistic. That's my personality, but I don't see this being better by fall. Nothing's going to be normalized by fall, in my view.
No,
This is
I
going to
think
be
you're right.
2022, maybe.
I think your
Well, I'm thinking
pessimism
late
is-
fall.
I don't know. I
I'd
think
love
his
to be wrong. I don't
pessimism
think
is more
there's gonna
accurate.
be any availability of anything, and it's not going to be anywhere near MSRP if there is, because there's so much catch up to do everywhere that, and plus these cards are getting trashed right now, and they're going to need to be replaced. It's not like you can just run a card 24/7 and have it live out its useful life. So,
Well, that's where eBay comes in.
yeah.
True.
And so there are
Why?
going to be some people who get some deals on cards, and they don't like boost up anywhere near to where they should, and it's going to suck.
It's just a repasting away, Josh. They're going to be fine.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah.
we saw the Gamers Nexus video. All you have to do is buy new thermal pads for the VRAM and the VRMs, repaste the CPU, and
Just repaste it.
your boosts are back. So
You're
apparently it doesn't
golden
actually
again.
destroy the silicon; it just destroys the interface material between the cooler and the PCB.
Just because it's pretty much the only thing you can do outside of, board level replacements. Make that meaningful.
Speaking of board level replacements, the 3080 Ti, if this is real, look at the specs. It's just a little bit below a 3090, so you're thinking reject 3090 GPU. It's got half as
Kinda.
much memory. So
Yeah.
on top of the fact that they're selling you half as much RAM, it's 12 instead of 24, GDDR6X, it's probably also a slightly defective 3090 GPU.
Yeah, detuned.
So
Sure.
it's and
Used
their
off.
retail pricing on it theoretically, I mean, according to the report, is only going to be a couple $300 less than a 3090. So the margins are going to be even higher on that product, and they're still going to be selling for as much as a 3090. 3080
What
Ti's.
should we do with all these RMA 3090s? I got an idea.
I mean, they're not dumb, right? Hey, let's make more money. Oh, okay.
It would be great if we started seeing, and NVIDIA's always had just a ridiculous number of, but because of all the partners, there's so many different cards that come out, and then they have a SKU for almost every price point, of which there's at least 4 cards from every vendor. So there's 1660, 1660 Ti, 1660 Super, 85,000 versions of that, and then you have the 2060, 2060 Super, et cetera, et cetera. So for them to have a 3080 Ti, 3080, maybe a 3070 Ti, 3070 Super.
yep.
One of the Super cards.
More than
gonna
likely.
hit. And you could have just different iterations of the same GPU, different clock speeds, slightly different memory configurations.
Oh, I've never done that before.
Well, sure, a SKU for every price point, and honestly, I don't blame them. I mean, if the supply was good, we would welcome it.
Right. And I don't know if any of that would help supply, because they can just decide when the GPU comes out, like, what are we
Probably
going to
not.
sell this as? What is this
So
going to be
it's
called?
not like it's a dumb plan. It's just it's not like that the consumers don't want that kind of thing. I mean, everybody does. It's just that supply is lagging, and I think
Poor
I think you're
timing.
more likely right. It's bad
Yeah,
timing.
timing.
That it's going to be a while. It's going to be 2022.
Yeah.
That's my guess.
It's not ideal when the total number of SKUs you currently offer with this generation outnumber the total number of available retail GPUs. So that it won't help if they just add more SKUs, I guess. Speaking of making the most of silicon, let's shift over away from NVIDIA to AMD here. And unfortunately, this is not available in the US as far as I know, but this is a very interesting item. AMD
so you're gonna go here.
700S, yeah. Now it's, if you look at these pictures, it's this interesting looking green board, and apparently it's an Xbox APU with the
Well, they're
GPU
implying-
disabled. Well, I mean,
they're
come on.
implying that it
let's just
is.
make some assumptions here. Let's just say it is.
Okay,
I'm
let's
gonna
leap
go
to
on the record and
conclusions.
say I'm assuming that it is.
All right then.
And it's this AMD Cardinal motherboard.
Yep. It's an AMD board. Important to note that
Yes.
like, oh, where are we going to stick these things in? Okay, well let's make something. And it's did you see the RAM that it's built in, just like the Xbox and
Of course.
Sony
That's what this is.
PlayStation,
That's what it is.
GDDR6,
And
GDDR6.
it's probably unified memory, but they have the GPU disabled, so they can potentially, I guess they're making use of all 16 for just system RAM, because there's a discrete Radeon RX 550, and it's not like on the board. We're talking just a PCI Express card, so they would have had to add a PCI Express slot to this. I don't know if there are pads for that on the Xbox board.
Well, clearly the CPU has PCIe.
oh, sure, yeah.
Yeah, obviously. So they just had to, when they did their board, they just had to pull those lines. I think the article has kind of what GPU did they end up putting in here?
550.
Oh, really? It was a 550. I thought it was a 5500, but it's a 550.
Okay.
Yeah, just a Polaris GPU.
Okay. But maybe that was oh yeah, there it is, the price. The price of this, I went and converted it a little while ago. It's under $700 US for the system. And it's an ITX enclosure, clearly only sold in, was it, I remember which Asian country it was. Was it Taiwan or was it, I can't remember where it was. But interesting all the same. Like, what are they going to do with their Xbox chips that, fail spec?
Apparently just on the GPU side too. Entire package. I don't see where they say it's sold. I could click on the source link, but then I would have to translate it. And
I was trying to figure out like what the there's a cost figure in the article, and I did not look up what the monetary figure actually meant. It was like 6,600 CYR.
oh, I see.
I
Yeah,
don't
it's at
know.
the end here.
Yeah, no, no.
Okay, that's why I overlooked
Like
it.
what is it? What is CY? Oh,
42.99
CNY.
CNY, which is
Yes.
RM 2715, of course.
Of course.
All right. Well, somebody
Pretty
can
sure it's yen.
somebody can translate that
Or
for
yuan,
us.
if you prefer.
CNY is yen. Okay.
Convert it, I should say.
Yep. Anyway, interesting.
Yeah,
you know,
interesting.
use case.
So think about it. If we could get something here, all the 550 makes it unattractive for mining.
True.
And so you could actually buy it.
Yeah, and play a lot of games on it. A lot of games. You can't play Cyberpunk 2077 though, right? Right, Kent?
On a
Can't.
550.
No.
I wouldn't think so.
Kent would know. Yeah, Kent would know.
Hey, Intel patched their 11th gen Xe driver so it doesn't crash in certain games like Horizon Zero Dawn.
Horizon
And
Zero
I
Dawn.
think
Edge.
Cyberpunk, the things that were pointed out by FPS Review as being crashy, that apparently got patched. But I
Yeah,
still don't think
Microsoft
you're getting
Edge as
more
well.
than, cinematic frame rates at 720p. Anyway, hey Josh, didn't you? I feel like this is deja vu. Did we not talk about ARM Tech Day this year already, or is this something new?
No, we had another one.
Oh, another ARM Tech Day. Okay, that's what.
Yeah,
Bam!
yeah. They're talking
Nothing
about, and they
compares.
gave far more details about the Neoverse. So this is their server platform. And do you like the buffalo in the background? On my wife's really messy desk.
Buff.
You're just trying to
Anyway.
prove that you're in Wyoming. Is that what this is?
Buffalo.
Something like that. Buffalo.
Buffalo are not known for their
Um,
feminine.
Tatanka.
Tatanka. Anyway, you're not doing Dances with Wolves, are you?
I was.
Okay. Anyhow, someone just cut me off.
You're here.
Hello.
I'm waiting.
Oh, this is weird.
No,
I
we
just
hear
heard
ya.
this click. Everybody
Maybe it
else.
was somebody
must-
going
literally
mute. I was
waiting
muting my
with
mic
bated
so
breath.
that you couldn't hear me.
We
Breathing
were
heavily.
both muting. We were muting our mics at the same time.
Yeah, that's probably.
And
what
so
it
it was in stereo.
Yeah, it was. Well, plus Brett always has some kind of weird stereo mic issue going on with his weird hybrid
Yeah.
non-PC
Anyway,
video setup.
well,
Anyway, yeah.
Good thing he's muted right now. But
We'll-
anyway,
we'll cut all this out. It's fine. We have to
yeah.
embarrass Brett about his Hackintosh nonsense.
Hackensack now. Anyway, so anyway, ARM held a little conference on their Neoverse, and they fleshed out their roadmap a little bit. They haven't changed it, but we still see the Neoverse V1 and Neoverse N2. So these are two different products. V1 is a pretty high performance and upwards of 128 cores, and they promised a lot of things. I mean, it's going to be a pretty high performance solution, and it's going to be a very, very dense solution, and it's the platform is pretty impressive. I mean, V1 is going to support PCIe 5 and other technologies. N2 is going to be an ARM v9 based. Both of these products will be featuring SVE, and as you can see, V1 supports 2x256-bit, and while as the N2, the newer one, will be SVE2 2x128-bit. So it's going to be interesting to see some numbers from them. But V1 is usually the more performant platform, and it's aimed at that. The N2 is going to encompass a few more features, and again, it's coming out a little bit later. But the amount of stuff that they're packing in these things, I mean, you got PCI Gen 5, DDR5, HBM2E for V1, and HBM3 for N2, C6 1.1 and C6 2.0 CXL, and they're also introducing the CMN 700, which is their new kind of glue that keeps it all together. And again, it supports something like 128 cores. They're doing more about heterogeneous computing. But with NVIDIA coming on board, they're going to be inheriting a software stack that will be really, really robust in what they're doing. They're aiming at machine learning with this. And I think one of the more interesting things that they showed is they've already got a lot of momentum going into there. They showed AWS numbers of who has, what number, and they had 3 vendors: ARM, obviously, our ARM partners, and then AMD, and then Intel. And if you look from like 2016, it was pretty much all Intel. And then you saw some ARM sneaking in there, and then ARM started growing, and then AMD started growing, and of course that meant Intel was kind of getting the shaft there. And so, it looks like AMD has a pretty good, about 35% of AWS. ARM is almost 50%, and Intel takes up the less. So they've taken a beating. Intel has from AWS, and these are the Graviton products from Amazon, if I'm correct. But they have specials on them for it's like try them out for free for X amount of time. I think this was one of the current deals. Typically a little cheaper than if you rent out the AMD and Intel servers, but power efficiency is really good as compared. Performance is getting comparable. I think the V1 is going to be right up there with maybe the last generation 2019 Xeon type performance, but it's a lot more dense. There's more cores, more power efficient again. It's the interconnect is greatly improved. I'm trying to think of everything else, but it's it's a big deal. N2 is going to be a pretty big deal, and again that's going to be ARM V9. That's nifty stuff. It's a next generation architecture. So Neoverse V1 and N2 are coming soon, being based on 7 and 5 nanometer products. We're going to see V1 here, I think, by the end of the year, and N2 will probably be a 2022 product. So ARM is getting serious. Well, I mean, they have been serious for quite a while with their Neoverse and their enterprise push. So this is just another step in that direction, and they've already got clients and customers, and Amazon, one of the biggest cloud people out there. They've invested heavily in ARM architecture and software, and just that whole environment and ecosystem. So they're making big moves. And again, if the NVIDIA thing goes through, they already have some support in CUDA, but that will expand greatly once I think everything gets signed on the dotted line. So a lot of bright things for ARM coming up and its partners, and they just keep chugging along with new and improved products, the technology. The 700 series of the glue, the interconnect, is going to be pretty impressive. And again, they support C6 and CXL. So all these things are coming together, and their partners have a lot of choices that they can make in how they build up these chips in unique and hopefully performant ways.
One of the things I
project
read
is
out of
unique?
that. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead, Brett.
One of the things I read out of that, couple of interesting stats, was that one, they were I don't know which one it was on Neoverse and one in N2, but up to 192 cores, even beyond the 128 that you had mentioned. And just to give people kind of an idea as to how well they're doing, 350 watt TDP on their CPU, which is very, very impressive. So they're really doing very, very well in their development.
Yes. I mean, it's just, if you think your cell phone on 7 nanometer is running at 3 gigahertz with 8 cores typically, and it's consuming half a watt. I mean, you can
Amazing.
kind of do the math from there. And I mean, sure, you've got a bunch of other circuitry in there that, it's the fabric and caches and all the different controllers and the heterogeneous and GPU portions and machine learning stuff that they're going to add in there. I mean, when you put all that together, I mean, 350 watts for that many cores, it's not a big deal. That's easily cooled in these data centers, and
True. Yeah.
fly away. Go ahead, Jeremy.
I was going to ask what you thought of the talks about Project Cassini and trying to, give a very light hand to the Unruly group that is everyone that licenses their IP to try and get a little bit of standardization going so that they can try and extend the lifespan of some of the new stuff coming out. Because that's very different than Norm usually goes.
Yeah, I if they talked about it, it was pretty quick.
Yeah.
I don't know a whole lot, so sorry.
No, essentially what they're saying is, well, no, I wasn't sure if it was covered because I didn't get as much coverage as I think you managed to get, or at least I hope, because it's nice to think of you hanging out with the ARM guys, even if it's only virtually. This will change.
Yeah.
So the idea is that like one of the things that they were talking about is the amount of 5G infrastructure that ARM is hoping to push out. And that's stuff that you want to put up and forget about it for, 5 years or so until the next generation is, really worth rolling out. And the thing with a lot of the ARM hardware is, and most cell phone owners have noticed this, is after a generation or two, the old stuff just isn't going to work. Like, you're not getting any patch cycles going anymore because it's really cheap and easy to abandon one low cost, low power ARM chip for a new one and just let the old stuff go. But with the push and like this huge leap into the server with the N1 and the N2 and the V1 for different applications, they're probably going to want to be able to keep stuff going for a while. But at the same time, they can't look at Apple and say, you go a little bit too far with those chips. We need you to back off a bit, because that's not what they do. They're just licensing the IP. But they're sort of trying to herd the cats a little bit to say, some of this stuff, you're going to want to be able to maintain it. Not to the extent of like in an x86 processor where you go and you pick up an ancient Xeon, you load Linux on, and away it goes. No issues. The hardware still works. So it's going to be interesting to see how they balance that. And if this is a little bit of Jensen already suggesting this would be a nice way for the company to grow if we did end up growing together.
Neoverse,
Josh, I've got kind of a-
Omniverse.
Okay.
Yeah.
There's this
Go ahead.
just massive collision after one person stops talking.
Well, everybody's holding it.
Pentop is like a GPU
Josh,
customer.
Kent, you were saying.
Yeah, I was just saying, the coincidence of Neoverse for ARM and Omniverse for NVIDIA in their last virtual meeting. Omniverse was the big talking point.
Yeah, and I wonder when they're going to get Lawrence Fishburne's character in there, and I don't know.
Morpheus
verse.
Virtual Keanu Reeves. Oh, no, wait, that's already
You take
been
the
done.
red GPU or the blue GPU or green? Yeah, green.
or green.
Yeah.
Green man.
Yeah.
So there was a couple of points made during the conversation that reminded me of something. What do you think is happening in a more macro sense regarding like where's x86 going versus where ARM is? And clearly, I mean, as a legitimate example, look where Apple's kind of taking that architecture and where ARM is projecting they're going to be with V1 and N1, and saying, what does x86 have to do in order to sort of stay with what it is that they're doing? Or are we destined to eventually kind of move to a different architecture, do you think, in some number of years? Because these are just so good. I mean, and people call me a fanboy or whatever. I mean, Apple's sort of proving it. They're really showing it. This is a good way to go, and we can get a lot of performance out of this for not a lot of wattage.
If you optimize for it. All the software that's
Absolutely.
optimized for it runs better
Sure.
than it did on their Intel machines.
Well, some of the Intel binaries, translated actually run better than they did native.
Really?
Which is actually,
Through Rosetta 2?
yes.
Yeah.
Yes, that's actually true. Yes.
Odd. You mentioned something about what exactly is it about the uniformity of ARM code versus x86?
The instruction size is actually the same, so the instruction decoder actually has a much easier time of it on ARM architecture because all the instructions are the same width. Whereas when you're doing instruction decoding on an Intel CPU, they have various additions that have come on over the years due to the way that where they started from and their binary compatibility that they've had throughout the ages. I mean, honestly, you can probably, I'm not sure this is exactly true, but you may be able to still run very, very old code on a very, very new CPU. And that's because the instructions are figured out by the instruction decoder on an Intel CPU and executed properly. And that takes time. It legitimately takes a lot of time. Whereas the instruction decoder and branch prediction and how deep they can do decoding, predictive execution on an ARM CPU or an ARM-based kind of architecture is more efficient. Not that they can't get deep on an Intel CPU, it's just easier for them to do it on an ARM CPU, and that is lending some of what you're seeing in these ARM architectures like the new Apple M series of why they seem to be so quick for not a lot of wattage. That's just one of the factors, but yeah.
Well, I mean, ARM at the very beginning, I mean, they were focused on energy efficiency because they're all going to be used in mobile devices and everything. And
yep.
I mean, we've had this, RISC versus CISC discussion. Thanks, Kat.
Hello.
For years. And I mean, people have been, if you remember back in the 90s when Alpha and Spark were big deals, I mean, everyone's talking about RISC is the way we're going to go. And RISC is the better way to do it. Everybody's going to go to RISC, and Intel won the CPU wars in the 80s with the servers, and everything else, kind of went to the side. ARM is doing amazing things with their architecture, and it's, it is still RISC. But where RISC really helps, again, is like you said, it's at the front end. But everything beyond the decoder, Intel and AMD are really at parity, if not better performance than what ARM has, because ARM is still aiming at 2019 products with these next generation things, really. And where they're going to make money is that it is, again, the power and density. But when you're talking about IPC and how efficient the threads are in multi-thread situations, it's probably not going to be as good. They've got a ways to go. There is a lot of secret sauce that AMD and Intel have, and and you add in that the software infrastructure for x86 is robust, to say the least. I mean, it's the de facto go-to thing, and
for now,
but and it's changed, and it's going to, we're going to see some shifting here, and the backwards compatibility of code and x86. A lot of those issues were really fixed by x86 64. AMD was really on top of it when they introduced that ISA, and Intel was like, well, let's we'll cross license that from you because it makes a lot of sense, because they were working on Itanium. They threw billions of dollars at Itanium, and it just obviously didn't work out for them. And instead of reinventing the wheel, they went ahead and said, what AMD is doing here is actually quite good. And that removed a lot of the issues. And I mean, if you look at overall power efficiency, there's getting to be less and less difference in between x86 and ARM. In between how ARM has become a better performing solution and how much better AMD and Intel have gotten at, the front end and decode, and you throw in process technology, and soon these architectural differences don't make as much difference, because now you're talking design. I mean, who can design the better chip? Who can design the more power efficient chip? I mean, we've kind of gotten past where architecture was everything, where RISC, showed. I mean, back in the 90s, you had, DC Alpha running at, hundreds of megahertz faster than what x86 could do. And same thing with like Spark and all these other guys. But yeah, it's, I mean, I always hear about how RISC is going to take over the world, and it never has yet. And it's just, they've engineered a lot of the issues with x86 into a manageable solution, I think is what we're kind of looking at. So, maybe one day x86 will just die. I mean, we'll go to 128-bit computing and they may just say, let's go clean slate. But that's not going to happen for a long time, I think. At least for the next 10 years.
There's always
Too many
emulation.
binaries.
It's better every
Yeah.
year.
Yeah.
Virtualization.
Sorry, I got on the soaps.
No.
The soapbox.
Hey, and as Intel
I
points out,
prompted you.
there are billions of lines of code optimized for x86. So, I mean, is ARM really a threat?
Yes,
There are billions
They're a
of-
threat.
Arms.
Yes, they are.
But right
chips
now,
just rolling.
Intel is more worried about AMD and what they can do. Their architecture is just so much better in with chiplets and how Zen is set up and how they've set up their I/O and Infinity Fabric. They've got a significant jump on Intel about scaling out these products, as we can see by how dense AMD servers are versus what Intel has at the same price.
And look at what
And
might
power.
be coming as we seamlessly...
Josh, haven't you seen the Justin Long commercials, Josh?
Oh, no,
They're
no,
clearly worried
no,
about
no.
one company.
Those will be
Clearly.
forgotten quickly, I hope. There's a rumor of AMD Zen 5 APUs, codenamed StrixPoint. This is a WCCF Tech article featuring hybrid core architecture on 3-nanometer process technology.
Yep, 8,000 Ryzen 8K.
Well, it's been theorized since we first saw Zen 2 and how it had a separate I/O die, how they're utilizing Infinity Fabric, and how you'd have two chips on there. That the assumption was eventually they're going to have a CPU and then the other chip is going to be a GPU, and it's a easy way to do chiplets. I mean, because all the mobile AMD parts and the integrated, I mean, it's all one die. It's a monolithic die. We know that may not always be the best way to do it. It's the best way for AMD to do it now. I mean, obviously there may be other issues involved with getting those two chips to work together. And previously they were unable to do it effectively, but times change. You throw R&D money at it and you come up with a solution. So, I mean, you get these small GPU chips and small CPU chips and you cook them to an I/O and suddenly you've got a pretty high performing part and you're getting great yields, and it's just because they're so much smaller chips than one giant monolithic one that has all of that. And plus you can mix and match process nodes, because I/O stuff can be at a higher node, or you can have a higher mix of better power efficiency because it doesn't need to clock as high in certain circumstances. There's a lot that they can do there, and it gives them a lot of flexibility. So it's not surprising that the rumors coming out, and I wouldn't doubt if we'll eventually see something, because that's seems like the way AMD's going.
Do you think it's going to take 3-nanometer for them to have the density for a single chip, a monolithic die, to have 16 cores, or can they do that at 5? Because our
They could
current
probably do it
roadmap
at
only goes to
5.
5-nanometer. I think so.
Yeah, no, I mean, I wouldn't doubt if they could do it at 7 if they wanted to, but there may be just issues that they need to add features to Infinity Fabric, and adjust how data is shuffled around in there. I don't have that kind of answer, but I don't think it is a function of die size. I think it is a function of functionality.
What about all that
getting
cache?
those?
Architecturally speaking, where on the die is the cache? That's not external. That's per die, right? Per
Yeah, it's in the
chiplet.
CPU chiplet.
So
Yeah.
to have as much cache as they do, which is an insane amount for a consumer CPU,
Yeah.
I wonder if that's a partial limiter, because the architecture does not really allow them to scale down the cache. I mean, on the mobile side, we see less cache
No, it does.
because they have fewer cores.
No, I mean, the mobile side is they've got 8 cores and 8 megs of cache for the 5000 series.
16? I've been
Yeah, it's
thinking
16
one of these.
threads, 8 cores, and I think it's like 8 megs of
Okay.
L3.
I thought it was
mean,
16 for some reason, and it's 32 on desktop, but
Yeah, no, I
difference
32
between-
desktop. I mean, you can cram a lot of SRAM in there, and it doesn't take up a whole lot of space, and it takes up less power, and plus they have better power savings functionality built in, and so caches aren't as horrible as they used to be, which is why they were usually so small, but fast. And we can go back to the Pentium 4 and talk about trace cache and crap like that. That was all done for power efficiency, and now we're kind of at the point with FinFETs that the physical functionality, not mechanical but electrical functionality of FinFETs, it seems like they're more helpful to cache and power efficiency and how it's able to hold into charge. So it's I don't know. I don't think that's a limitation to anything that AMD is trying to do. But with a more mobile looking product, you still want to save power where you can, and so those L3s are much smaller with mobile than they are for desktop.
Apparently,
Josh,
well, according to
this go ahead.
reports anyway. Big little is what they're going
Yeah.
for. So it'd
Yeah,
be big would be Zen 5. Little, this is all obsequious. Like it'll be interesting. The new caches. ... Looking at the memory subsystem, will be somewhat closer to current mobile SoCs. This is reports via Twitter and the usual sources, and who knows? This is all too early to speculate, I guess.
Which we were just talking about as ARM, so you can see sort of the cross-pollination of
Well, right, that was
concepts
the-
and ideas.
That was the leak
Which is
roadmap ahead for Intel too.
Yeah.
Was that they were eventually going to be going
it's
big
true.
little as well. This is what
True.
This is what Apple is currently doing. You've got big cores
Indeed.
to handle bursty, fast, important workloads, and you have smaller cores to do background tasks and more energy efficient stuff.
Yeah, prior to the M1, I think that they had that concept already in their iOS devices. But yeah,
Oh yeah,
I mean,
the
before they brought it to the
A
desktop.
series stuff was big little for a long time. It was like 2 performance cores and 4 small cores.
Yep. So yeah, they've test flighted that and figured that out. So
Well, I mean, AMD doesn't have currently a small core. I mean,
Right.
they're not going to throw Jaguar in there because that's now a decade old plus. So they have to develop a smaller core to do that, and it wouldn't surprise me if they were doing that. That seems like that's the way we're going. That a lot of these kind of sub processes and stuff that don't require a big fast core are going to be run on. But the big problem with that is, of course, your OS handles a lot of that
Indeed.
stuff, and
Like I
Microsoft
said,
is
exactly.
still
There's the issue.
yeah, and Microsoft has been a little bit slow in doing this effective. Android and those guys, they've kind of been forced to focus on that a lot sooner than obviously the x86 guys. I mean, if you can remember back in the day when NVIDIA was talking about they had 4 high performance or 2 high performance cores and then 1 low performance core, and then they were able to do the software stack so that like your touch screen response was sent to the low power core, and you had much better response, and you had multi-finger gestures and all of that, and it wasn't taking up any time on the faster CPU cores, and that was 12 years ago or so, well maybe 10, but anyway. Same thing, ARM has had Big Little for ages, and they've worked with Google and the Linux people, and they've gotten around a lot of the hurdles with, being able to effectively utilize small cores, which of course you're going to have different cache sizes. And when you start snooping caches and you've got different cache sizes, that makes things really, really, really complex. And so you have to put things in there to kind of stop it from doing that, but at the same time sharing data and cache hits and dirty cache and writes and copies and it's a lot in the software, not so much hardware. So
pretty soon you got a Spectre vulnerability on your hands.
yeah.
Any more
Hey.
on this subject before break?
No, I want to hear about our sponsor.
Let's take a quick break to talk about our sponsor, Text Expander. Start, type, and write. And I will read that in later.
Is that really the catchphrase? Start,
I don't
type,
know.
and write?
No, I just made that up.
Is that a pun? Like write W-R-I-T?
It could be.
Yeah.
Okay.
There, I had some people tell me that there were certain things that we were talking about a couple weeks ago that Text Expander could have helped us with by reminding us to talk about things in a uniform way. Text Expander is perfect for that sort of thing for a group of people who are trying to share the same vocabulary. It's exactly for that kind of thing.
I must have missed that comment.
I think it was Discord.
Oh, I see. Hey,
It was a
be
while ago.
nice
It's about
to
a week
us.
ago.
Be nice to us, Discord community.
Yes, please. It's cops. That's right. Somebody has the cops coming to their house. Run.
All right.
And I'm talking back to text I'm reading out of the Discord chat, in case anybody wants to know.
Mm-hmm.
My nose is itching. Sorry if I keep rubbing. I should say, we should go that way, but my wife wants to go this way.
That way.
No? Yeah.
So intermission. So a short break before we actually start again.
Everybody, stretch. Now's the time.
Just having Seinfeld flashbacks now where Josh is saying, there was no pick.
Oh, but Text Expander. So many uses.
Text expander.
We were talking about
Exactly.
Windows a little bit ago, and
Yes.
how Windows limitations, we can't properly utilize some of this cutting edge hardware. I have a simple message
Or-
for everybody watching.
It's been. Oh. Did you just make
Touche.
that?
I made that in Microsoft Paint just now.
Well,
Awesome.
how could you do that in Microsoft Paint?
In real time.
That's just
They
wrong.
allowed you to? That's amazing.
I mean, here it
wasn't-
is if you don't believe me.
It wasn't that long
White text on
ago.
a black background.
You should have thrown a penguin on it. It wasn't that long ago that Windows could not deal with the 32 cores.
Right, and then 128 threads was
128
like
threads.
it could not
It's
do the
just too much.
3990. You had to disable SMT to get that to work until there was a patch. It was
Yep.
like February 2019, 2020. I've forgotten. 2019? It's been a while.
Yeah, they're a little slow about some of that stuff. Not a great look, Microsoft.
Nope.
Oh, look at that guy in the Discord.
But it fits so well.
Wait, hold on. What's happening in the Discord?
And Alan's chilling Optane.
Very,
Uh-oh.
very
He's so
serious.
nicely.
Croft?
He's so nicely. Yes.
He's immaculately dressed, and his posture is very good.
Well, yeah. Look, that was one of those like I don't know. I would almost call it a training session.
Yeah.
He was on their webcam thing doing like how to evaluate this stuff properly, and like the storage is not, it's not as easy as just running a few canned benchmarks to do workload testing, and you have how you configure Windows and power management settings, and it's a pain.
How you make it
do-
repeatable, how to
Yeah.
make sure the caches are cleared properly.
you need a dedicated storage editor like Alan if you want to do it properly.
He has the mental acuity to jump through those hoops.
Anyhow,
Yeah. Let's move on. Hold on.
Are
Let
we
us.
back?
Here's Alan.
There he is.
Oh, look at them.
Benchmarking in
The
the
lighting
real
was
world.
not great here. It's too
It's cold.
green. Yeah, it's cold.
Yeah.
It's cold, but somehow green.
Yeah.
I don't like
Yeah,
it.
you're right.
He
Yep.
needed
No.
more.
He
he looks
coloring.
like he's
Not
been
this one,
he's been assimilated.
Assimilated?
Yeah.
Oh,
Locutus.
that is definitely true. I think he would agree.
What, that he looks like Patrick Stewart? Yeah, I think he would agree.
No, that he's been assimilated.
Yeah, that's it.
Okay. We should probably start the show again.
Hey,
Okay.
Are we back?
we're
We're
back. Hey,
And it's
hey
time.
there.
It's time to talk
Hey.
about
Hello,
money.
money.
How well did AMD do, Josh?
AMD did extremely well.
Money.
They've had a year of essentially record quarter after record quarter. And they're adding to that with Q1 being yet again, another record at $3.445 billion. Now, if you think 2 years ago, they were barely scraping like 1.3 billion. So if you think of the amount of growth that they've had, and and I saw some numbers of how much they've built up inventory, and when they build up inventory, when they're talking about that, they're talking about stuff that's in flight. It's not just sitting in warehouses, and it's gone from like year and a half ago that they had $1 billion out there, and then it went to 1.4. Now it's closer to 2 billion worth of stuff that that includes wafers, that includes stuff waiting for substrates, that includes chips already on substrates waiting to be sent to partners. I mean, it's just a huge amount that they are chipping. And 3.445 billion dollars, that's double that 95% growth from Q1 2020. I mean, that's just ludicrous. And I mean, they made their net income was something like $550 million. And they've never done this. I mean, okay, they once probably got close to that because Intel paid them $1.2 billion or something like that. And so they came out ahead that quarter, but that was many, many moons ago and under, very different circumstances. But, their CPU are selling great in mobile. It's growing. On desktop, it continues to stay there. But of course, EPYC servers have apparently doubled over the past year. And so their compute group has done very well, and that includes, I believe, GPUs. GPUs have been selling very rapidly, as we well know. And if you take a look at prices for 6700, 6800, and 6900 parts, they're bonkers, ludicrously priced, and they're selling out. At least AMD at AMD.com, every once in a while they will release new cards there for actual MSRP price, but you've got to be extremely, extremely lucky. Their margin increased to about 46%. I mean, that's flat flat year over year, but it's an increase from the previous quarter. So they're not making as much in the semi-custom. I mean, the big rollout last year was really where that came to the fore, and now it's just kind of that's royalties being paid, and not the big payments for when they first released these products. But that's been more than made up by EPYC sales. EPYC, you've got Rome out there, and now you've got Milan. Milan's been shipping now for about 2 quarters. It has made a dent in Intel's business. If you look at their quarterly results, their data group has lost something like 20% margins, and they're not making as much money. And again, if you were to dig up that AWS picture of the 3 vendors, the Graviton, AMD, and Intel has been taking a beating in servers from both ARM and AMD, and that's simply because they've got performance, they've got better power efficiency, and now they're at a point where their partners like Dell, HP, whoever, they're actually marketing and putting out fully featured servers that are comparable to the best that Intel has. I mean, if you go back 3 years ago when EPYC was first released, their offerings were much more bare bones, not as interesting. It didn't have all the bells and whistles and things like that. Now that's no longer the case. I mean, they're focusing on really building up these AMD products in the server realm, and so EPYC is doing extremely, extremely well. Everything is growing. This has been an unprecedented year. I didn't think that AMD would get to $3.5 billion in revenue a quarter anytime soon. I mean, I was expecting them to stay at the 2.2 to 2.5 for a couple of years before things started going up. But now, they've blown through that ceiling, and they're approaching, NVIDIA $4 billion a quarter numbers. And that's fantastic for consumers in ways, if you could actually buy parts. But Yeah, no, and next quarter, well, let's just go back to Q1. Q1 is typically the slowest quarter of the year. Uh, Sales typically drop off 20 to 30%. They call it seasonality when they talk about seasonality. It's the post holiday. Q1 is where the budgets are tightened up. People are buying less stuff. There's not as many sales on. It's again post holiday, and that's not the case. They've increased throughout the entire year, and now they're looking to get to $3.6 billion in Q2, and that's what they're thinking. They're plus or minus 100 million in there, which, it's 100 million in between friends. So they're either going to be staying flat, or they could, seriously make, up to $3.7 billion if 2Q is as good, if not better, than Q1. So their outlook is good. They've gone something like, barely having $1 billion in free cash, and now they're sitting up at like $3.1 billion. So they're flush with money. They've got plenty of inventory out there that they're shipping, and I'm glad my kid's yelling in the background. They're selling plenty of stuff, so that's all good.
Any further comment on the financials before we move on?
Hey, Josh, was that Intel money you were referring to, the x86 instruction set buy?
Yeah.
No,
Oh,
It was
no,
not?
that was the $1.2 billion that they did because they, paid OEMs not to buy AMD.
Oh, that one.
Yeah.
That's just Intel being Intel. Like, I forget. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's
Sounds
Intel
like IBM.
trying to be IBM.
Yeah, I was going to say
Oh,
exactly.
you're right.
Exactly.
Yep.
That's all
Yep.
IBM stuff.
Yeah,
Business.
forget it.
While Josh was
Moving
talking
on.
there, I was actually just looking back through AMD stock prices and looking at the fact that in August of 2015, an AMD share was $1.75, and they closed today at $84. And in January, they had a closings
stock
over
split.
$90 a day.
Nice.
Yeah, that's not even counting us. I think there's a split in there too. So if you had
Really?
bought
Yeah.
at the very lowest,
Yeah.
you would be doing very, very well. That's a huge jump. That's amazing. I mean, you got to give kudos to Lisa, Jim Keller, all of those guys who, were at the very, very lowest point in AMD's life. There was sacrifices that were made, but now it's just exploded.
And a gambling streak, Josh. Let's roll the dice. See what we can do here.
Yeah.
Invest.
Better than
What
Bitcoin.
you got to do is sell off some of your Bitcoin and buy AMD, right?
Yep.
If only I had any of
That
that.
sounds like a
Bitcoin.
bad idea. Yeah. Bitcoin just sounds like a bad idea in general. I don't know.
All right. Well, hey, we're probably about an hour in at this point, so let's quickly shuffle through the last couple of news stories here.
Feel free to trim the fat if you would.
Yeah, I was kind of interested.
want.
There's a video, Kit Guru, I haven't watched yet, and it's on our list here, but definitely check this out. eGPU scaling. There's a Cooler Master enclosure that the EG200, and they're pushing it to see just how far can they take this little enclosure and what kind of performance can you get. And obviously, this is a little more of a niche thing, but if you can make use of an external GPU and you have a nice monitor and you want to make the most out of a laptop, and you actually can find a GPU, that's the problem. Like, I think for most people...
It comes with a power supply, but not a GPU.
Right.
Hey, the most important point is that people turn up their nose is like, oh, you don't have the bandwidth. Oh, it's like, oh, that's PCIe for Gen 3 versus Gen 4. These are Gen 4 cards in an external Gen 3 enclosure hung out there on your desk on a Thunderbolt connection. And the percentage difference between what it would be plugged into a Gen 4 native PCIe port versus
16 by
sitting
yeah.
exactly versus sitting 3 feet away is very minimal. is extremely minimal. It's like
Especially if
within
you're-
5%.
Well, 10, 15-ish.
I
Unless
thought it was lower
you're
than that.
Well, it is if you're pushing it to an external monitor.
Oh,
If
yes,
you're doing
that's
the
exactly what I
loop
mean.
back into the
not a
laptop,
loop back.
No.
You're totally right. You're
But
totally right. I
externally,
meant external monitor, non-loop back.
So yeah, we totally need those 16 lanes of PCIe 4.0. They are fully and
don't.
completely saturated.
He's being
Apparently no.
sarcastic, but
He
yeah.
is.
We don't even need 16 lanes of Gen 3. For
No, you
graphics.
don't.
So,
No.
and any of the
Storage,
studies that have been
yes.
done have shown that. I think maybe we've reached the point where we can saturate Gen 2 by 16 with a GPU.
But there's a lot of people who will throw stats and percentages and whatever's at you. It's like this is better than that, and like not really. No. So it's not better.
Who does the big benchmarking project? Is it TechSpot who's done one? There was this one I think they most recently did with the 2080 Ti. Anyway, you can always read Gen 3 versus Gen 4 benchmarks out there, but it's pretty minimal. It depends on what you're doing.
It was the eGPU thing that was a little bit surprising that it really didn't put a dent in it. Not a lot.
No, compared to the first generation of the eGPU, yeah, very, very different.
Yeah.
So those first ones were just, jeez.
Sorry about that.
Okay.
No, it was perfectly timed.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on.
My ears.
Jeremy, tell us about
What?
Zen and the art of version maintenance.
Ah, yes, Black Mesa from the Crowbar Collective. That, you kind of forget about it because it has been out for almost 6 years now, except for the Zen portion, which only came out within the last couple of years, which people like myself were not necessarily too upset about because it's an abrupt change from the previous sections of the game, we will say. But
Oh yeah.
the thing is that they spent all of that time from 2015 until they released it around 2019-ish working on it. And so to show it off, what they've done is put up a playable Zen museum. And so this gives you a chance to wander through and take a look at all of the iterations that they went through trying to get Zen to work on Source and not to suck so horribly. And give you a chance to sort of look at all the assets and the stuff that was discarded, or to get a look at some of the current stuff that they're using that is in the game, but you don't really get a chance to look at it closely because it's a giant testicle monster that's trying to eat your head. The other thing they did was put in a total of 56 playable maps into this museum. So not only can you just look at the assets, you can actually take a run through some of the earlier iterations of Zen and, see how they did all of this insane stuff to port the ancient original Half-Life onto the Source engine. So it's a hell of a lot of fun, and it's really nice to see them, giving you an insight into their development process and, a bit of a museum of the development of a game. It's not something you honestly see very often. They don't like you to show you how the sausage is made. So in this case, they are quite willing to expose it and give you a chance to not just look through it, but try it on for yourselves. So if you haven't picked it up, it's half price right now on Steam and Good Old Games and a couple of other places, I believe, as well. It's worth it because they did such an amazing job on this thing.
And real quick, will you explain the Pine Cube for us? I always like these kind of open source alternative projects. This is on Hackaday. Pine Cube, an open IP camera.
Yeah, so sounds really nice. It's $25 or so, $30. But as you can see from the picture right there, it's construction really wants a case. There's no way to actually
Kinda.
set this thing down.
I mean, tape. You could get creative with some tape.
You could.
Gobs of it.
And so they were supposed to offer a enclosure for it too. They still haven't started selling it. They were also going to give you STL files, and actually until Hackaday pointed out that, it's been almost a year, guys, and you still haven't put up STL files, they actually did.
Okay,
So you
good.
can print yourself a
Print
case
yourself
at least.
a case. All right.
But the problem is that they use this 5 megapixel ancient sensor, which hit end of life years ago. So yeah, it's compatible with freaking everything, but at the same time, it's not great, and you're not going to be able to replace it. And it's an S3 SoC, so it's based on the Cortex A7 with 128 megs of RAM. And so they were finding the guys that were playing with it at Hackaday that just trying to grab a resource pack from online to update some of the code was pegging out the memory. And so you would sit there for 10 or 15 minutes until it finally crashed out and you could try again. They compared this to if you grabbed Raspberry Pi Zero W with a camera. Each of those are about $25 a pop. So for about $50, you're getting a significantly better sensor. It's still every bit as supported as the old OV5640 is, but you know it's still new and running, and you can get replacements for it. So the Pine Cube looked like a brilliant idea because it was just dead simple. You need an IP connected or an internet connected camera that you can just put somewhere and not even think about it again. It didn't necessarily work out quite as well as we were hoping. So overall, they're sort of suggesting you're kind of better off going with a Pi Zero and tossing a camera onto it. Still interesting and cheap to play with.
Yeah, that's the draw of Pi stuff, but it gets better over time most of the time.
Yeah. Whereas I don't think the Pine Cube is. Pine Cube V2
No,
might.
doesn't sound like it.
Unfortunate. Hey, Brett, I see you itching there with your prop. Tell us about the new Tough Hair fans.
You know what? A lot of people see that as tough hair. It's not. It's tough air. You got to read all of the letters.
Yeah,
So-
but I see
It's
hair
not.
when I'm
That would
looking
be
at this.
tug hair. That would
Right,
be
Yeah,
tug
it
hair.
is. And that is
okay,
what
at least-
happens.
At least I don't.
at least I
get
it
two
as
happened.
hair.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Kent and I
that's a
have to worry
marketing-
about it.
That's a marketing problem that we should probably forward on to Thermaltake and say, you might want to revisit the spacing and maybe the intercaps on this.
Kerning is
Kerning.
Brett,
Kerning is
just
not
another
good.
question for Thermaltake. How can air be tough?
Look, they figured it out.
Oh, you can have that
Here.
happen. I've got some nice pork
Let
and
me
beans
explain.
that'll-
Now imagine if you throw.
Let me explain
that,
how the air can be tough.
that heat sink, it's going to hurt, and you got to be tough to handle it.
See, Fullistan in
This
the
is-
chat, he knows.
this is
Asus has
liquid-
Tough, TUF. So they have
That's true,
Tough,
they do.
TOUGH. That's
Yep.
the correct spelling.
tough.
I don't know if you can, if this is possible to make out through the video at all
It
here.
looks like
but
a fan. We're seeing a
it
fan.
is.
It looks like a
But-
case fan. of
Hey,
some
there's
kind.
weird
See-
striations on there.
can you see the weird striations in that?
Yes.
That's right.
It looks
this
like
is
recycled
Sterox.
plastic.
No,
Is
it's
it
Sterox
made from
or-
a bunch of hairs which are all compressed into
Is
a
it matted
solid?
It
hair?
could. It could very well be matted hair, but it's not. It's liquid crystal polymer.
What isn't that just a fancy way of saying hair? I mean,
No.
I'm no scientist, but isn't that just
Liquid
hair?
crystal polymer, also known as fiberglass.
It's
Oh.
liquid crystal
Yes.
polymer.
Dude, are those really
it could
light?
be
Are those fans
fiberglass,
super
but it's
light?
not.
How light
They
is
are
that fan?
really light.
Oh yeah,
They're really light. One of the claims of fame to another
Can it
famous
fly?
fan manufacturer.
You're talking about
Yes.
Noctua here?
Can you actually turn it up high
I
enough to RPM that
am
it takes
talking
off?
about Noctua. Another claim to fame from a famous fan manufacturer is that their fans are very, very special, made of that LCP material. Thermaltake is talking about this kind of the same material, although that the other famous fan manufacturer have said that, yeah, it's really difficult to make that in a dark
you
color.
Can,
Well,
look, we're media.
Thermaltake
We can
has kinda
talk-
done
we
it.
can use the brand names. This isn't
yeah,
PR.
we can. I'm not
And
trashing
besides,
anybody here,
Noctua put out black ones.
though. So they
Right,
did
have
eventually.
the Redux stuff.
I just want to let
So-
you know, I got a couple of these. I got the 310 and the 510 in. So I got these two deals, 310 and the 510. I happen to have the 510 actually out of its cage right here.
I just
So
want to know
this
what
is
retention mechanism looks like. Is this
the-
direct?
I will
plate,
show you. I will show you. It's
or
kind of
direct-
interesting.
Direct
Let me show you.
contact.
it's kind of interesting. It uses these plastic mechanisms that what they do, yeah, they're kind of interesting in that you use short screws and
Oh, I
that
see.
you
Okay.
bolt the backside onto the fan like this. Okay, got
Hey,
that?
I have a question.
And
Why
then
are we
that,
still talking about the fans? I want to talk about the heatsink.
and then that gets clipped onto the heatsink. This is a very very stylish
Nice.
heatsink.
What about the base?
with
where it actually connects
with
to the
no
CPU?
with no RGBs?
It's direct. It's direct contact. Okay.
It's direct.
So it's all
You see
going to
that?
be about how precisely milled it is
I
and how
felt
good the
it.
retention mechanism is.
I'll have to get out the laser, micrometer,
Mhm.
measuring flatness device, which means I'll probably just kind of lick it
It's
a
just going
bunch
to
or
be
something.
an epic review.
Just kind of lip it.
No.
Yeah, it's going to be
Okay,
epic.
enough Apple references. No lickable. Stop talking about how stylish it is.
You know what? The lime iMac was very
Right.
tasty. That's all I want to say right now. Yeah,
The new green one.
you went
too.
there.
Hey, at least it was useful for
Tangerine.
something.
Tangerine, very delicious.
Hey, Josh.
You know
do
what?
wanna-
Apple could make a fortune if they did scratch and sniff cases.
Or just lickable
Ye
computers.
gods.
Scratch and sniff's going to be easier than lickable.
I'm totally serious.
Yeah.
That would work.
anyway.
Hey, I'm serious about Josh telling us about the Icy Dock. It's the return of the Josh Tech review. It's back.
It is. Josh,
Yeah.
oh my gosh,
Tom.
yeah!
Don't be no sarcastic.
I'm
laughing.
slowly but surely catching up. So anyway, Icy Dock sent me a removable NVMe dual bay 3.5-inch unit, and these can handle NVMe sizes from what the 10 up to 110, or is it 30? I can't remember. Anyway, it's $143, which is a little pricey. 30 is the smallest it can do, and then all the way to 110. It's adjustable. It only supports PCIe 3.0, so it's not 4.0 compliant. However, for somebody who needs removable NVMe support, this is a really nice thing. This thing weighs about 2 pounds. If you throw it at somebody, it's going to draw blood. It's all like metal. The trays are mostly metal and some plastic in there. The locking mechanisms are the typical, hot swap, removable type drive bays. Nice clicky, nice feel. It locks. It is a metal heatsink on top of each of those drawers, so they provide the thermal material that you can put on there for when you install a SSD, NVMe SSD. And so I did put a PCIe 4.0 one in there that runs a little warm, and it just it stays nice and cool. I mean, it's just there's so much mass and thermal mass in that entire dock that it really doesn't care that if you're running a 8 to 12 watt PCIe 4.0 SSD in there. Construction is great. Performance is pretty much identical to a native M.2 slot. In fact, it was slightly a little faster for some strange reason. I don't know why. But I tested the Samsung 970 EVO, both internally and externally, and then externally the Sabrent Rocket 4 Plus. You can see the performance there. I mean, just a very, very quick benchmark. I didn't go into huge depth because, I mean, essentially there's no component in there that's going to really slow down a drive. I mean, it's essentially just PCI lanes being routed through a what do you call that?
That's U.2, Josh, right?
SAS cable. What's that?
Yeah. U.2, right?
Yeah, it's U.2, and so you need to have a motherboard that has a U.2 port on it, or you can actually buy riser cards with a single U.2 port for around $20 to $26, depending on what you want. When you get more than one port, then you're starting to look at, $200 to $300 for those riser cards. So if you have, a couple of PCIe 1.0 slots, and you want something like this that you find yourself swapping out NVMe drives, you can certainly do that. Again, it's just a mini SAS cable that connects it to. It routes PCIe lanes to that card, and it just runs. It's easy to swap in and out. The only problem is that you need a 3.5-inch bay, or a 5 1/4 with a 3.5-inch adapter. And how many modern cases have those things?
Wow. Not many.
Some.
Not all that many. So, if a guy like me who says, optical drives for life, I can usually find space in drive bays for that. But this is a pretty specialized product. Not everybody's going to need it. Not everybody's going to want it. But if you find yourself swapping out NVMe drives, then it's handy. Again, you're limited to PCI 3.0,
Plus,
but
home defense system.
it is. If you've got a quick release, you can pop that thing out and chuck it. And I'll tell you, those corners are pretty sharp, and it's some serious mass. And you'll hurt somebody. You'll put their eye out easily if you have a good aim. But yeah, it was good product. I think for the price that it is appropriate. You can get a single bay for about 110, I think. So it's a little bit less than the 143 that you can currently get this dual drive bay out of. And if you're doing lots of testing, if you're a guy who works at a shop that does lots of imaging of drives for, some large corporation that, you just image drives all day long, this is something handy, and it's fast, and you don't have to, kind of take it apart with screwdrivers like these, I'll show you this one. The My Digital SSD, which, you got to go in there with a couple of screws, a screwdriver, and take it apart. And it's kind of a pain to do. But with this, you just pop those out, you pop a plate. You have the adjustable rails that supports different sizes of NVMe drives, and you're good to go. So, I can see a certain use case for this, and it's a neat product for, a reasonable amount of money.
That must have tired you out. Your dogs are just a barking.
My family, I don't understand why.
It's just interesting background. That's fine. I'm sure people.
It
will
really
love
is. They can't. It's this is my life. I've got two seniors in high school. One's 18, the other's 19. I've got two dogs. One's a puppy. It just and the cat. Let's not forget the cat who makes surprise appearances now and then.
When do the puppies go to school? No.
Sunday nights.
Mm-hmm.
You had a good point with the NVMe disks, or drives, I should say. The NVMe drives that use very stupidly small, sometimes proprietary, screws, standoffs, and lengths.
Well, you don't think
that are just so
pentalobe
annoying.
screws are annoying? Oh, okay. All right. Well,
Yeah. This is the part where you have to, I was just like, I just about had an explicative to say, and I realized, I'm just going to cause a problem for you having to cut this later, so I stopped.
I don't even know what that means. You mean
You're welcome.
expletive?
Yes.
Expletive.
All right.
Yeah, no, it's, you don't have to deal with small screws. That's the greatest thing of this entire thing is it locks down pretty nicely, and just the engineering behind it is, it's simple, but it's robust and it's easy to get to, and IcyDock makes a nice product.
Cool.
Our final review tonight is just going to be very quick. Like last week, Josh, don't hold your breath this time. Another audio product. This is a gaming headset, more conventional this time. EPOS H3. This is a new closed-back. It's analog. It's acoustic gaming headset. So it's 3.5 millimeter connection only. You don't have to worry about, USB standards or any of those things. What kind of amplifiers on board, DAC, that sort of stuff. That's what I'm trying to say. The specifications, on the audio section, were interesting because it has, of course, this huge quoted frequency response. They don't give the plus minus on decibels, so that could be plus minus 30 decibels for all I know. But it apparently can produce all the way down to 10 hertz and all the way up to 30,000. So who knows at what volume level that would be. But the impedance of these is only 20 ohms. And the SPL, the sensitivity, 124 decibels at 1 volt.
That's pain.
That is loud. That is sensitive enough. That and the low impedance, these should be easy to drive with virtually anything. And that's exactly what I set out to do. I tried these with a phone. I tried them with a game controller, headphone port, and they get plenty loud without distortion. So they are very sensitive headphones. As you can see, we got the white one. There's a black one too. And they appear to be trying to match the current gen consoles. One of them matches the Xbox. This one matches the PS5. Nice padding level though. The headphones, the headband it's like a leather style vinyl, and there's a decent amount of padding beneath. The ear pads themselves are kind of a composite thing. The part that touches your face it feels like velvet, kind of a softer feel. The sides are more of a harder vinyl, which actually seemed to help a lot with noise isolation. And then inside, it's kind of more of a mesh material, but you can't see in this photo. But adjustability was good. The ear cups rotate enough; they don't fold flat or anything. I didn't have an issue with anything except I will say it had slightly higher than standard clamping force. So the pressure against your ears, I would put it at like a 6.5 out of 10. When a lot of them, I would say a baseline is 5, and these are a little bit tighter against your ears. But best noise isolation, sound isolation I've heard from a passive pair of headphones like this, a gaming headset. So there was quite ed that when I didn't hear. Yeah, exactly.
heard.
It was quite enough
Yeah.
that when I was first testing these out, my son walked into the living room and was talking to me, and I thought he was just joking around, just mouthing words. And then I took off one ear and I realized he was talking. I'm like, wow, this is great. It's like a volume control
Okay,
for
so
the
we've
world.
got a sales point here.
Exactly. No, that's a
Aaron,
big
yeah.
sales point. If you live in a noisy environment,
Push
or if
on
you just
that.
want to get away from the kids, like, honey, you take the kids. I just want to game. Apparently, even in the same room, within limits, it did a better job than some cheap noise canceling headphones do that just sit on your ear. But
Sebastian,
yes,
with the that low of an impedance and that high of a sound pressure level, what's the noise floor like on those? Is there any noise or hiss when you have them on connected to an amp at low volume?
I didn't hear anything. I wonder if that's more a function of just matching it to the components. Nothing that I tried created any extraneous noise. So I
With
don't
a gaming
think
headset, that's going to be connected most of the time to a front panel or something low power anyway.
exactly. Or like in this next photo here, the gaming controller, which is exactly what this is designed to sort of match. So I tried it out with a PS5 DualSense controller, and it sounded great. And there was no noise or anything. And it was able to be driven to very good volume levels with good dynamics. That was the other thing. Like this is perfectly it's up into the range where I would call it excellent sound quality. Very good clarity, has that scooped mid-range, the Smile EQ kind of sound that you hear from the like HyperX cloud gaming headsets. But not enough to muddy the overall sound quality. It has a little bit of a premium price though for just a passive pair of headphones. The 300s, the GSP 300s from Epos are 100, and these are 120. You're getting better build quality with these, and you're getting style from these. But I think the sound quality is actually better compared to the 300s, and they're easier to drive. So it comes with 2 cables, so you can do the traditional like split mic headphone thing. It comes with a standard 3.5 millimeter headset cable as well. But microphone quality, I've just briefly mentioned, not great. And they claimed in the features, like their talking points, the second point, studio quality microphone. Well, it has the crisp in-game chat they mention. It has a very upper mid-range trebly kind of a sound. That definitely crisp. It's clear enough, but I couldn't really detect any actual background noise reduction at all, and there's no bass whatsoever, which is in itself noise cancellation because any kind of low hum in the background just isn't picked up by the mic at all. But yeah, the mic wasn't great. They rarely are. It's sad that this many years into checking out headsets, the best mic I've ever heard is still like a mid-range Logitech headset from a few years ago. I like a 400 series. I can't remember the name right now, but
Well, this fascination with the removable boom arm, like it just, you already know they've given up on quality.
Oh,
this one, oh wait, Josh.
I did a podcast with this one, and
Yeah, it
if
wasn't
you
too
guys
bad.
remember that, it was a while.
that was
It
actually okay.
pretty decent. It's the Corsair 860, the haptics. Of course, you get the
yeah.
buzz from when somebody sneezes into their mic, and and the haptics go off, and
That was Kent. Kent did that.
yes,
That was a cough, not a sneeze.
I'm trying to find this now. Is it the G433? Oh yeah, the G433. Still, in my opinion, best mic on a consumer gaming headset I've ever heard, and it was these red headphones. Everybody gave me crap because of the color, and of course they offered them in different colors, but they sent the reds for some reason. But this innocent-looking
red.
mic sounds great. Actually has full range audio. But yeah, that's that H3 review. $120, so it's up to you if it's worth that. But they are definitely easy to drive and they sound good. Speaking of sound good, what is this on our list? Oh, it's Josh.
It's pick.
Speaking of sound,
Yeah,
good.
what's a pick?
wait,
We're moving
you're
into
not muted.
picks. Picks of the week.
yay,
Picks of the week.
picks. Okay, you know what?
Seamlessly.
I haven't had a standalone Sound Blaster card since literally 2005, 2006, and it was an Audigy 2ZS. Yeah, I think that's it. Anyway, it was a fairly high end card at the time. It was released in 2003, 2004, and then I went with a Ozentech series of cards afterwards, and then probably around 2014, I think, no, it's 2016. I believe that my AMD Phenom 2, no, it was anyway, one of these stinking AMD AM3 motherboards started to die, and so I decided, I'm going to spend the money. I'm going to get an Intel product. I'm going to get an i7 7700K because I'm tired of not having the gaming performance and not like the extra threads and all that. And it didn't have a PCIe slot, so I wasn't able to reuse one of my higher end sound cards at the time. And so I just went to onboard motherboard audio, and it was okay. It was good enough. I mean, they've made leaps and bounds in terms of onboard audio with motherboards from what we saw 20 years ago, which was absolute garbage, but it worked. And I mean, they've improved the signal quality, but a motherboard is still a very, very electrically noisy place. And even though they do things like they separate the power plane off from the audio portion, and they often light up the kind of PCB separation in between those two, and they try to isolate it as much as possible. You're still sharing a lot of real estate with the motherboard, and the motherboard guys they want to have as many possible features as they can. And so audio is compressed into a pretty small thing. And so I decided what the heck, I need to try a standalone card again. And so I got the Sound Blaster AE5 for about $142. It's the Sound Blaster X, the Blaster X. It's it's got a Saber DAC in there. It's the Core 3D sound chip, which has quite a bit of DSP functionality. Their software is a lot better than it used to be. It's not a huge download. It's like 130 meg download for their entire control panel. Extras on it, like I can't even remember that Scout mode and some other audio things, and they've got all the different creative. You can adjust your sound to these different environments, and it's a significant improvement over even higher end motherboard audio. So I was really quite happy with this purchase. And I'd like to see more, standalone sound cards. Now they come in PCIe 1, by 1 slots, and they're very common. Software support's really robust. Drivers don't seem to have any issues. I mean, if you remember some of the first PCIe sound cards that came out, there were issues with it because everybody was, they had PCI cards. This does have RGB support and even comes with a RGB LED strip that you can plug in there and control and mount somewhere on your case. And it's silly, but you can actually run it, I believe, without the power plug-in. I think the power 4-pin Molex only does RGB stuff. So if you don't need that, you can just plug it in, install software, and go. Again, it's got, the headphone amp is pretty decent. It's a bi-amp, one amplifier per channel. So you don't have a single amp, powering both channels, and you possibly get a more separation and a little bit better audio that way. And it's a nice, solid, little card.
So you're saying it's more than just one Conexant chip inside of a mostly empty plastic case? Okay.
Yeah.
You got to tell people what you mean by that because you of last week.
Yeah, the certain unmentionable products that $80 and you're getting literally a USB-C 3.5 millimeter headphone adapter inside of a case. It's
like
called a
something
desktop sound card.
No, we don't.
It's
review
normally
stuff
buried
like
in a cable. Like,
Yeah,
it's not a good.
super tiny and not good.
Yeah, no, it's a reasonable sized card, and you can find pictures of it naked on the internet, and it's not as interesting as like some of the Ozentech stuff from 10 years ago, where you could actually swap out op amps, and I mean they've got a serious amount of filtering throughout the entire thing with lots of caps and whatnot. This is not as densely populated, but it still sounds significantly better than motherboard audio. And at $142, it's not a horrible price, but it's nice that we have that option out there.
Very good. Jeremy, your pick this week.
Oh, I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the ringing in my ears from all the concerts that I used to be able to go to, and probably rendered me incapable of even discerning the difference between onboard and discrete audio.
Very likely. I mean, my wife has the same problem. She went to as many shows as she could when she was younger, and now, she has the hearing
a couple
of...
of bands I knew, so we hung out right directly beside the Marshalls.
Yeah, don't be
She
up by the
might
speakers.
be-
It's not good.
She might be ignoring you. You know that, right?
I wonder sometimes. It's either that or she just can't hear. But either way, it's frustrating. Jeremy, what is your actual pick this week?
Oh, just to torment some people that were mentioning in the chat about how incredibly difficult it is to find the new Ryzen processors in the States. Well, hell, up here in Canada, we're having sales on the damn things. Like, right off the bat, just alone, boom, $570 in stock, low end per customer, but they're not mentioning limited stock at all. In fact, they're so brave that if you just go on newegg.ca and search for a 5800X, you get your choice of bundles with about 5 different PSUs, ranging from like a relatively cheap Roswell 700 watt to up to an ROG Gold Plus rated one, and for ridiculously low prices. I think the most expensive choice brings you just over $600 Canadian.
Hold on. Can you explain to me why shipped by Newegg, you've got a Ryzen 5 5600X for $800 and the 5800X for $569?
That some people make strange choices in life,
Okay.
and we are
You
supposed
just really
to
need that 6 core.
encourage them. Yeah. Yeah. No, I don't know how to explain the pricing, but yeah, right now there are some ridiculous deals. The 5900X is also in stock and also on sale if you need those extra cores.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know what happened. Apparently we got a whole crap load of them recently. I would not expect it to last for long, but for now, if you need one, do it. And if you know somebody in Canada that can ship you down one, do the translation over to the US, and it's actually a relatively good price. And you can buy it.
What is 569 Canadian in US?
I don't know. Like, what is that in real money? I don't know.
Real-
500.
I didn't say real money.
Let's see. 569
Freedom units.
In freedom dollars.
CAD
Freedom
to
bucks.
USD. That's $462.
460. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is under our MSRP here too. So that's, oh no, it's
Well,
over. It's
and-
449.
Well, it's a little bit over, but you can get it.
Correct. I thought you could get the 5800X. It's been the 59 you can't get anywhere.
Yeah, there's been a mix. Like sometimes you can, sometimes you can't.
Okay.
Oh, real quick, just let me in real units. When I say real units, I mean micro center dollars. It's $429.99 right up the street.
How many they got?
Well, let's see. 25 plus new in
Yeah, that's
stock.
not
Is it
so
the
bad.
58 or 59?
It is the 58.
Oh,
I
there we
will
go.
look
Yeah,
up
check
the
the 59.
59. I will.
Not available. My prediction.
$699.99. 25 new in stock.
That's
by
they're
5900X.
gouging you. They're gouging you.
$699.
It's
that gouging?
449 MSRP, right? Or no?
No, that's the.
Am I wrong? Josh, weigh in on
You
that.
asked me 58, 59.
5900X. What do they want for that? I thought it was 449 because the.
5900X
58.
is 560.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
I'm wrong.
that
I'm
sounds
wrong,
right.
as usual.
Yeah, Micro
And
Center
that's the
wants
12 core. I was
$699.
thinking it was the 8 core. Okay, no, it's the.
Yeah, that's the 58.
8 core is 460
I'm a fool.
some.
All right.
I'll see if they've got any 5950s.
Hey, Brett,
They
what,
don't.
Brett, what did you find on your Apple Supply website for us this week?
You know, I totally represent the question that you're implying there.
Yeah, it's
Max
OWC.
Sales.
The
It is
source
OWC.
for Apple stuff, maxsales.com.
Yet this is a universal pick. It is a very nicely apportioned wireless speaker that comes in black or white, more like almost a bedside, simply because it has a clock on it as well, and a radio built in. Kind of an interesting device. Normally, this was like a $300 unit, original MSRP.
Allegedly.
It's $69
Do
for
you
this Bluetooth
Nice.
speaker.
Do you think Jamo,
It's Klipsch.
is it?
Yes, it is.
Where?
Yeah.
It's their down
Yamo
market.
is a division of Klipsch.
All right.
Klipsch
Yeah.
bought
It's-
Yamo several years ago,
Oh,
actually.
okay. Okay.
Yep.
It's refurbished.
So look at
That's
this.
such
This is
cheap
it's
price.
refurbished. It is, and that was what drew me to this particular one. Is that wow, that's actually a pretty reasonable deal for a decent Bluetooth speaker with a couple of extras thrown in, such as clock and a radio, but it make a great bedside unit. So yeah, and it's got a USB charging built in, so it's got a USB port for doing charging, wired charging, of course. It's not wireless nowadays. Yeah, decent unit, kind of cool looking, and with a remote, and only $69. MSRP was almost 300.
Nice.
When does the offer expire? Like 5 minutes from now?
No, there are actually only about 30 units split between the two. There's like 18 of one and
Okay.
14 of the other. So if you are interested in this, you better move on it.
Something that's not going away anytime soon. The Sugo 15. This is my pick. I'm working on a review. It'll probably be done by this weekend or early next week. But Silverstone. It's a small case. The Sugo series has been around forever. It's like their cube-style mini ITX cases. This is taking that concept to the kind of premium side, evocative perhaps of Lian Li, with aluminum outer construction. It's still a steel frame, but this is the silver one here, which is the one that I actually have, and it's also available in black aluminum. But every outer panel is aluminum. And in fact, I actually switch over to my camera here. I have it right here on the desk. So it's
Cool.
about 14 inches deep, 9 by 12 or 13 on the front here. But as you can see, it's ventilated on all but one of the sides. This is what I chose to make the bottom just because I didn't have any vents on it. You can orient it however you want. But it holds just about anything. It holds a full-size ATX power supply, graphics cards of just about any length. I think I didn't actually try to put one of the Supremes in it, but it'll hold triple slot, 13-inch long graphics cards. There's plenty of space in there. And in this orientation, I have it all horizontal. It doesn't matter how you position it. The CPU cooler clearance, it's the height of this unit. So I'm going to put an Evo in it just to see that for sure that fits. But big coolers fit inside of this case. It's why am I still on camera? Here we go. If they, I don't even know if they show it here. I'd have to go to their site, but the potential, the space in here, they have much better imagery on their website to show you that there's just like 4 different modes that you can put this thing into. But you've got a ton of room. You can do liquid cooling, air cooling. You can have 2 rads in there. There's a rad bracket on one side, and then there's a 140 millimeter fan bracket that's removable on the top. There's all sorts of stuff you can do with this case, but anyway, it's a little bit up there, like compared to the other SG cases that are out there. This one at about $164 is certainly higher.
Silverstone seems to run fairly expensive. Do you think that they have the quality to command that sort of price?
I disagree. I think Silverstone tends to be mid-range for pricing.
Really?
This is a high end for them. Like the LDO3 was kind of an aberration, that smaller, all tempered glass exterior mini ITX case I did last year. But in the past, I mean, I'm thinking $99, $119 for mid tower cases, and they always have cheaper options too. My favorite case of theirs ever, besides the Fortress series and the Raven, was actually the Temgen TJ08E.
The TJ08E, yeah, I
it's-
like that one
it's
too.
great. In fact, it would go great with Josh's review because it has that front 3.5-inch bay still, and a 5.25-inch bay.
Ooh.
They actually revved it. If you go to
Now I'm
Silverstone's site
interested.
now,
They have
you'll
another
see
one.
that they in the TG chassis they actually have a rev of that creates a raid bay, up top. So they've freshened it, they've updated it.
Okay,
I
here's
almost
the
got
old
that
one.
Yep, that's the old one. Yep.
It has that huge 180 millimeter fan on the front.
That's correct, and a huge array of storage bays just behind that 180 fan as well. So look at the new one,
This
and you'll
Micro
see they've got a
ATX,
RAID
right?
bay up top. It might be one of their server class.
Oh,
Look under
okay.
products again and look for like storage. They've got computer chassis, case type, go to storage.
HCPC.
No, I don't think it's that. It's by series, case storage series. Yeah, look at that one.
Okay.
Right up top. Yep, that one, CS. So there it is right there, the CS330.
Oh, okay,
there
yeah.
it is.
Yeah, you can see it's based on that. Yeah, it still has the 3.5
that's
inch
Box and
bay.
everything.
Exactly. But they've taken
Oh.
that top out and they've turned it into a 3-disc hot swap RAID bay. That's addressed by a single SATA. So that's a hardware fan out for 3 drives.
Really?
From
You have
inside
this?
the case.
Do you have this case, Brett?
I almost bought this case.
This looks
Almost,
nice.
but I researched it at the time.
Oh, removable
I was gonna
motherboard
say,
tray.
that's finally the chance to
Oh.
use your sex port, and they went with a
Yeah,
single
look
setup.
at they've got an interesting GPU support bracket in there too. It's an X bracket. See,
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it's a CPU cooler bracket. Look at it right there. You can see at the bottom of the picture.
Yeah, that was
You
in
see
the
that?
Temgen TJ08 as well.
Okay. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So
'Cause
they kept
it's
that.
a rotated layout, or not
Yeah.
rotated. It's inverted.
Inverted. hmm
Okay, so it's
Very
yeah,
efficient use of
Yeah.
space.
You can and
Power
it's
supply,
full-
top mount.
Yep, full size ATX power supplies up top. Like you always had to be careful to make sure it was either a non-modular or a smaller modular, like a 140 deep, to actually get it crammed in there. And then there was that maybe if you're just using an optical drive. I guess I was back then using an optical drive as well. So anyway, yeah.
But this would take
Silverstone
up an
cases-
MATX, of course, which is like one of the most interesting motherboard sizes.
Well, you could put ITX in here too, but
Yeah.
this case was designed to cram as much crap into a micro ATX build as possible and have good airflow.
Yeah. Kind of cool.
All right. Who is next? Has to
That would be
Kent.
me. So, my pick of the week is a development log on a pretty interesting new technology. Not even technology, really, just an implementation of technology. It's the cross.dev website, KROS, and it's a development log for the building of a virtual reality operating system, a fully 3D environment for your operating system to use in any different VR situation that you have. There's a nice video showing the proof of concept, really. It's very interesting. It's done in Linux. It's all open source. So, when it's ready for funding and further development, looks like it's going to be something that you'll be able to use on any various VR headset. But
It's tracking the
really
hand
interesting.
too, isn't it?
So this is like a 3D construction set for designing your own interfaces and stuff, or kind of like whatever. It's very interesting.
Yeah.
Well, it looks
Cool.
like he's tracking the hand, not anything
Yes.
he's wearing on the hand.
Absolutely tracking the hand. Yes. And it's a she, actually.
Interesting.
Very nice.
See, what's the
Nifty.
hardware requirement for this? Just does it work with any headset, or is there a specific
It,
requirement?
yes, it should work with any headset. Like I say, it's in very early development stages.
They're using a
looks like
Vive, apparently.
It looks like she's using the hardware that it's being developed on is an NVIDIA Jetson.
Makes sense.
But the website goes into a lot of different details. It talks about the software stack, the current hardware that's being used, just the progress. There's a sign up for the YouTube channel and the Twitter feed for updates. But I found it very interesting and pretty cool.
I like the open source aspect. It's good.
Me too.
Yes.
And it's all
Yes.
Linux based too. That probably says the same thing twice, but yeah,
Yeah, exactly. Well, isn't that what it?
pretty much.
Is there anything else? We're in the outro mode right now, by the way. This is outro, but before post show. We've been recording for 2 hours. It's
Oof,
after midnight
true.
on the East Coast. So
It is.
Sorry, I was so verbose. I'll try to do better next time.
Josh, we had a couple of heavy Josh topics in the
I was
rotation
going to say,
today.
anytime
so
there's financials, you know it's going to
Hey,
be.
AMD
ARM is-
financials and
ARM is fun
ARM
to talk about.
ARM throws a party.
It's okay, sleep.
So
is
maybe
overrated.
next year you'll be able to go.
Hey, did you see that CES is actually going to be in person? I think that was what I
Right.
In
just read.
2022,
be-
yeah.
Questionable, but hey. Okay. Well, hey, thanks for watching and listening. Probably more listening than watching, but either way, we'll be back next week in some form to do it all over again. And Josh will have another burger, we hope, and there'll be exciting new topics that have nothing to do with product availability.
And the
Just
cops
about
will be
zero.
there.
Yeah, somewhere. I don't know who's that. Is it at your house, Brett?
It's not, well, it probably should be, but
But it's in your
they
mind.
don't know where I live.
It's your area.
They don't know where I live. It is not in my mic.
Okay, I don't know where the sirens are coming from. They're not coming from mine.
I'm
All right.
muted.
Me.
All right,
Oh,
well,
thank-
Could have
Vancouver,
been
yeah.
here, but I didn't notice them through my headphones.
gotcha.
I'm
All right.
surprised Josh's positional directioning hasn't actually pegged it to me already.
Good night, everybody.
Good night. Thanks.
Good night.
Night.
Thanks for watching.
I'm gonna hit the record
So
button
this-
again and stop the recording.
So this was my quiz earlier. I was just going to hold these up and go, okay, which one of these is the GT710? Just to based on
Yeah, so you got a
which one?
flex. You got the Supreme. You gotta flex the Supreme.
So I had to get it out. When you mentioned it a little while ago, and I'm like, oh, it's right here. Oh, look.
Yeah,
And it made the review I did, and it will make other ones actually. It actually worked out really well, and Fractal actually picked it up and retweeted it on their own channel
that's nice.
Nice.
just today. Just
Did they
today,
ask you for any pull quotes?
they pulled one of my quotes anyway. They
There you
didn't
go,
ask.
see?
They just pulled it.
It's- Oh, they didn't ask. Wow.
They
A lot
didn't
of companies
ask.
ask. AMD always asks. Every
Corsair
single
didn't
time.
ask me, and Fractal has not asked. They didn't ask. Not that I would have said no. I'm like, sure, yeah, go ahead. I said it.
It's funny because the requests always are accompanied by, what is your fee? Like, we don't have a fee. You just attribute. If you're going to quote a website, you say, to give the name of the website.
As per PC
Right.
Burger. This is what they
If
said.
you're quoting, you're quoting. We put it out there. That was one of the things I remember appreciating, is that, first of all, I learned a long time ago that people actually charge for that. And second, Ryan never did. It's like, it's just advertising for us, I guess. Like, who cares? And really, it's out there for anybody to see.
It's kind of what I was thinking of it like they posted our review. Like, okay, that's just going to send a whole lot of traffic to us.
If
So,
they link
okay.
back to it,
Yeah,
it's a popular
They did.
then sure. Yeah.
They did.
I always thought it was funny because AMT, not to get too far into this, but AMT would constantly, like, anytime I did a review, it's like asking for pull quote permission for multiple quotes, and then it was still like pulling teeth to get a review sample. Like, I mean, you love the reviews enough to quote them every time, but I just can't get
Right.
the product. Oh well.
I think we're on a much better footing with them now. I think we kind of straightened it out with them. So we'll see what happens for the
exactly.
next set of CPUs
I mean,
that come out.
Really, the 11th gen Intel review was our 5000 series review because I had to do all the testing from scratch for the 58 and 5900X, and that was all in the same chart. So it's like that was a review of the 5800X, 5900X, 10 or 11 600K and 11 900K. If those are even the right numbers, I've forgotten already. All in one, and it's amazing what that 8-core can do.
Which 8-core? The 5800?
The 5800X. It's amazing. If I had to buy it with my own money, I would get that over the 12-core. I feel like, I don't know. It just had amazing gaming performance. It was faster than the 12-core in gaming, and it was.
Well, it's the old original Threadripper 1900X, but better.
On one.
Yeah,
One
on one
chiplet.
CCX.
Yeah.
And combined L3 cache. So
Yes.
one big mass of 32 megs. But that's why I like my 5600. It's $150 less, and it's only clocked 100 megahertz lower than the 5800, I think. And yeah, you lose 2 cores, but 12 threads
You
is
get some
still
good savings.
a lot. Yeah.
Oh, I was tempted. It was just that I was like, literally, I can replace the old Threadripper with a Zen 3 and just, it's the same. Yeah,
Yeah.
all right.
Only faster
If-
because of the newer
if
architecture.
anybody-
faster.
Faster, more efficient, less memory addressing problems. Yeah.
If anybody ever wants to send me to Micro Center to pick a 5800X up for $429, just let me know.
That is a great
It's on your
price.
tab,
though.
right?
$429.99 is below MSRP.
Yeah.
That's
If
cool.
you buy anything-
Good to know.
You have to buy anything with
$449
that.
or $459.
Picked one up about 3 weeks ago for $449. So, and it's
Hey.
sitting on a ITX motherboard on the table to my right, waiting for a case to arrive.
Sebastian will send you one.
Oh, we probably could.
There's. I don't wanna
No,
miss
I've
that.
got one coming, but I've actually been tracking the ship that it's on, which
Oh,
finally
Didn't it go
docked.
through a certain little bottleneck there, did it?
No, it was actually in the Pacific long before that. But if you are tracking a ship, there's several websites to do it. The entire Pacific coast looks like LA at rush hour right now.
Oh, yeah.
And so this ship was basically cruising around waiting to get into the port at Los Angeles for like the last 2.5 weeks. And it finally docked just a few days ago.
Yeah, this slowdown, it's not going to get better quick. It's going to be months and months and months because everything is backed up so far. Just think about anybody trying to construct something new right now and waiting for parts to come in just to get rolling.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, a friend of mine who approached me was like, "Can you make me a computer?" And I was like, I mean,
Vintage
I can get
one.
most of the parts.
No.
There's one major one that's gonna be impossible.
I built a PC for a former coworker of mine. He approached me in November, and I built a PC for him. And I am still waiting to get a graphics card for him. He's actually using my old 2080 Ti until I can get a 3080 for him. And I'm on the EVGA queue for several different versions of those, and I'm still waiting because I didn't get signed up for him until October. So
I wonder if they're still servicing those requests. I signed up day of for the card that was just below Josh's, and they have never contacted me. Josh has the one with the back plate. I signed up for the one without the back plate.
I don't think they're making that one anymore.
No, I don't think
They're-
they are either.
that queue, I actually watch the EVGA forums daily, and sort of the users there have come up with a spreadsheet to track the queue on the various SKUs, and that one has moved very slightly, maybe just a few minutes since release day. Several others have moved quite well. Shockingly, the 3090 for the win has moved quite a bit. The gaming cards, not the Ultra, the unoverclocked gaming cards are the ones that are not moving. The overclocked versions, what they call the Ultra cards, are the ones that move on their queue list. And it's easy to see why. They cost more. So
If they're only getting so many GPUs from NVIDIA at a time, I would put them in my most expensive SKUs because you know you're going to sell every card. So you
It's,
got to be
it's
willing to
good for
pay
them.
for
Yeah.
it. Just sign up for the most expensive SKU if you really want a GPU, because you're still paying less than the scalpers on eBay. Last time I looked, 3090s were $2,500 on eBay.
No, easily.
So it's probably just
Still.
getting worse. I can't like everything. I just even console stuff. And old vintage hardware. I was recently just out of curiosity looking up a couple of things on eBay. The stuff that I was looking at just last year has doubled in price
Really?
just in the last 12 months. Gravis ultrasound sound cards, if you can find one, they're twice as much as they were last year. They're going for $750 to $1,000.
Wow.
There are certain things that are just unobtainable now, and just overnight.
I was so fortunate that I signed up for the queue on the 3090. I actually just signed up on the Notify the day of release. I actually took the day off to try and get a 3090 on the release day, and was unable to, but I did just click the Notify on EVGA's website, and then they started the queue afterward and that. So I was fortunate enough to be able to get the 3090 pretty early on. But you know, the people I feel the sorriest for were, well, I don't feel sorry for them. I think they did something very silly. But when the 30 series was announced in the big famous kitchen video, there were people that had 20 series cards, 2080 Ti's, that pulled them out of their system and were selling them on eBay for like $400 to make room for their 3080. And now they don't have cards.
Right.
And,
Right.
you know, it's like I say, I feel sorry for them, but that was not a brilliant move.
Who would have known they could get 800 for that card if they waited just 3 or 4 months?
Yeah, really.
And they still wouldn't
Or
have
more.
a GPU. And they still wouldn't
Or
have.
more.
Oh, yeah.
I've seen, not in the last few days, but there were 2080 Ti's on eBay being sold when the mining craze was really hitting fully again. They were being sold for as much as they sold for new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's the right time to embrace integrated graphics. Just forget about. It's actually easier to buy a next gen console if you're just patient and follow the right Twitter accounts and spam the add to cart button every single time it goes in stock at Target and Walmart and fail miserably over and over again. But if you can deal with all of that, you'll eventually get one. You cannot buy a graphics card doing that. And even if you decide that you're going to, like, enter the Newegg Shuffle, you're going to be paying significantly over MSRP. I don't want to pay $1,200 for a 6800 XT or whatever they're going for now. I'm sure it's more.
I've heard Best Buy might be a place that
in the past that was always my go-to for MSRP
Yeah.
graphics cards during mining crazes, but not anymore because they don't even have them available on their website and they won't sell them online.
Or camping at Micro Center is another way.
Well,
but
right,
not
if you have a Micro Center
everybody can do
nearby,
that.
but
Even camping is not going to necessarily win for you anyway. So
Best Buy has stock drops on 30 series cards just about every Wednesday Wednesday or Thursday.
really,
There were actually, yes. And the way they do it on their website is they drop small bits of stock sort of in increments. They'll put a few up for sale and you try and buy them. The biggest problem is it's still bots are able to grab them faster than a human who's just trying to buy a graphics card.
of course.
So it doesn't matter that they're dropping them, 5 times a day in small lots. Bots are still grabbing them. But they are selling at MSRP. They have the Founders Edition 3080 at $699, and it drops. I see it drop about once a week, and I still can't get one for
$1,500
my friend.
Jeez.
Yeah, for the 3090. But that's MSRP.
Yeah, Best Buy never raises over that. Like
Nope.
it's if you find it in stock at Best Buy, it will be MSRP. Period. So it's been my go-to for any kind of hard to find computer component during a shortage. You'll eventually find one. Just like power supplies, high wattage power supplies have been impossible to buy. When you can find one at Best Buy, it's just the regular old MSRP for an EVGA or Corsair power supply. I don't know. This gaming desktop here, what is in it? That caught my eye.
2060.
Yeah, 2060. Okay,
Yeah,
it's $1,300.
2060.
Comes at 2060.
All right,
know,
guys,
I'm
I
the
got to
best
get out of
Wi-Fi
here. It's 10:30. I got
It
things
is.
to
It's
do.
12:30 a.m. So yeah, we should probably all.
Yeah.
it is. Got to take off.
Okay.
All right, thanks, guys. Thanks,
Thank
all
you.
listeners.
See you, Josh.
We'll talk to you
Sorry
guys
about your
later.
ears.
Thanks for coming by.
See you guys later.
Yep. We're gonna end the stream.
Yeah.
Thank you.
We are.
Later.
Good night.
Good night. Thanks, everyone.
Good night, everybody.